What's going on, fellow A-Plusers? Is your boy Adam Perez back once again with a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC television, and movie news, streaming for you guys live today over on our YouTube page, Facebook, as well as Twitch. And you can also catch us over on Twitter today. We got 6 incredible topics we're going to be getting into for you guys today as Matt Reeves from The Batman discusses a little bit more about Part 2, giving some extra details. We're going to dive a little bit further in regards to this Green Lantern casting for Hal Jordan in the upcoming Lantern series. We even got James Gunn talking a little bit about Creature Commandos. Is that set to go ahead and drop this December? Plus a ton more, guys. So we'll see you on the other side. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of A-Plus Hero Report. 6 incredible topics we're going to be breaking down for you guys today. A couple of honorable mentions at the top, and of course, wrapping up our show with live viewer questions. It is good to see everybody here after our Labor Day weekend. We got a returning Stuart Branscombe after a couple weeks. It's good to see you, buddy. How you been, man?
I've been good. I'm really glad to be back because, haven't gotten to really talk about, nerd shit in hella long. So excited to finally get it all off my chest again.
Yeah, man. We're definitely looking forward to hearing some of your thoughts on these topics that we're going to be getting into today. I know, especially when it comes to lanterns, I know you were pretty excited to discuss the Josh Brolin offer, if you will, for playing Hal Jordan. So we'll definitely get your thoughts on that today and a ton more, man. You guys will have to excuse me for like the first 30 minutes of this show. I am expecting my son to be picked up by his grandpa here by 1 o'clock today. So I have my mom who's in town watching kiddo for me right now until grandpa comes and picks him up. So hopefully the exchange goes well of grandson to from grandparent to grandparent. But just in case, if they need some assistance or anything like that, I may have to bounce every now and then. But I will certainly still be here for the entirety of the show, at least within the first 30 minutes. It might be a little bit shaky, but we'll see how things go. How you been, Stuart? It's good to see you, man. I feel like I've been talking to just a camera and a screen for the past 2 weeks, hoping to get somebody to bounce ideas and conversation points off of, man. It's been kind of lonely around here, Stuart, but it's good to have you back, man.
It's good to be back, but the first week I took off. In fact, I'm not sure if Datila is here at the moment, but she can vouch for this because it happened before when we did WWE. I completely lost my voice that night. It was basically the same thing, except for this time it was from my friend's karaoke party. The craziest thing about doing karaoke is that because the room is so loud, you don't realize how loud you're being. And you also don't realize how drunk you are. So I had like a just really bad amount of drinks that night because I just couldn't tell I was drunk. It was just too loud for me to be self-aware of how drunk I was. And then it wasn't until like we left the room, left the building, and then we were out on the streets where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can barely stand up right now. It's so good that I have like the greatest girlfriend in the world who was able to like kind of help me from there. But like, wow, it was a crazy night.
Absolutely, man. It sounds like it, bro. It sounds like it. But yeah, a good woman to certainly look out for you. And I got to say, man, I know a lot of people that are big fans of karaoke. I just can't do it, man. I just can't do it. The nerves get to me. I think I did karaoke one time, and I think it was like senior year of high school, like just for shits and giggles. And yeah, I don't know if I'd ever do it again. It was so nerve-wracking.
Well, here's my question: Did you have any drinks when you were doing it?
No, I was completely sober.
See, that's your problem. You can't do karaoke night sober.
Oh, that's okay.
Or at least
Okay.
I can't, because I'm exactly like you. Like if I don't have any drinks in me, I'm not gonna sing. But like the moment I get like at least a buzz going on, then that's where I'm like, okay, just make sure it's a song I know the lyrics to.
Yeah, that's true. I might have a couple of songs that I wouldn't mind giving it a shot on, but yeah, no. When I was in high school, I remember me and my friends we had gotten off a bus, I think, and we were at the bus stop, and across the street we saw that there was a karaoke bar. We saw some people like performing through the window, and it was like you couldn't come in unless you were 21 and up or something like that, or maybe it was like 18 and up. I can't remember, but so me and my friends are literally standing at the front of the bar, like by the outside the window, like this, like just looking in at them performing. And the bartender, or the guy, I guess maybe that owned the building, was like, "Come in, come in, come in." And so we went inside, and he's like, "You guys can't order any drinks or anything like that." He says, "But if you guys do want to do some karaoke, you certainly can." And so me and a couple of my buddies did like one song, and then we were out. But yeah, it was super nerve wracking, man.
Yeah, that's actually kind of cool because yeah, none of the karaoke bars in the city would be that kind.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised they actually let us in, but it was a pretty fun crowd for like the one or two songs that we did, and then we had to leave. But yeah, I don't know if I've had people invite me to karaoke, but I've never gone. I can't do it, man. But you're right. I think the key is I gotta be plastered. Like I got,
Mhm.
you know, just no shame whatsoever. So yeah.
Oh yeah, and then once I'm plastered, it's like I don't need to know the lyrics of the song. Just put it up. I'll figure it out as I go.
I might be able to read along. We'll see.
Yeah.
But everybody, welcome to another episode of A Plus Hero Report. It's good to see everybody here this weekend. Hopefully, we'll get the opportunity to wrap up your weekend fantastically. I think we got some really great topics for us to dive into that I think you guys certainly deserve to know about. Even in our honorable mentions, I think we got a couple of good ones to certainly break down. But before we get into honorable mentions, I do want to let people know, if you do want to submit a live viewer question over, you certainly can. Go over to our YouTube page, click on that community tab, and there is a live viewer question post you can start submitting your stuff over to. Let's give some people some shout outs so that are in fact joining us live, or at least popping in a little bit today. We got Enrique Perez here. He says, just saw the first trailer for the upcoming Minecraft movie starring Jack Black as Steve. Did you check that one out, Stuart? I saw it drop, but I haven't seen it myself yet.
Yeah, it very much is not going to be on my radar when it comes out. Well, I got to be honest, I've actually never played Minecraft. I've known about it. It's like literally been around since I was in high school. I think at least the beta for the game was around when I was in high school. Yeah, just never clicked with me though.
Yeah, I was never a Minecraft guy myself. So I don't really have any expectations in regards to what a Minecraft movie should be, but I then again, I didn't have the same expectations for Borderlands, but I know anybody that played the video game Borderlands, they saw the first trailer and they were like, "What is this?" Like they were just outraged. So I don't know if the same thing is happening here with Minecraft or not, but we'll see how it goes. I still didn't even check out Borderlands. Have you seen Borderlands, Stuart?
Oh no. I gotta say though, given the reviews that I've seen for this movie and given how cool the trailer looked,
For Borderlands?
for Borderlands, whoever edited that trailer did an amazing job because they made me think that this was actually going to be a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I can't judge the movie for myself. But seeing some of the reviews, yeah, it's been pretty atrocious for Borderlands. But I totally agree with you. I mean, all the trailers that I've seen have looked really fun. Like, man, this is a movie I definitely would check out, like in under any other circumstances. But I just haven't had the opportunity to check it out yet. But you know,
I think I will watch it just for fun when it comes out on streaming
streaming
services.
somewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll probably be up here within like by the end of the holiday, for all I know. It could be on the streaming services now. I don't know
Mm.
if it's even in theaters anymore.
I wouldn't be surprised.
We got Ram Jam in the house. What's up, Ram Jam? Appreciate you coming through. Um, Enrique says there's also a second trailer for the upcoming new film Wicked, starring Ariana Grande. Yes, they went ahead and actually dropped some brand new character posters as well this week. I am really excited to see Wicked. To be quite honest with you, I've heard so many great things about the Broadway play,
Mhm.
um, and I've always wanted to give it a shot. Seeing it like at in person, but I've never had the opportunity to. So this will be my first introduction to Wicked, and I honestly couldn't be happier.
I absolutely loved the well, I didn't see it in Broadway, obviously, but I saw it in San Francisco and it was absolutely stunning. Especially like the song Defying Gravity is probably like,
Mhm.
yeah, like I'll put that on a soundtrack, or on any
Nice,
kind of playlist I got.
nice. Enrique also says, and finally, Nickelodeon is going to air the fourth season of NFL Slime Time with Nate and young Dylan in this upcoming Thursday's kicking off the football 2024 season. Very cool, man. Very cool.
So
Yeah,
they
I feel
just
like the
have like
slime.
football.
I
Oh,
feel
good.
like yeah, they do that also. They did that also for the Super Bowl. So I don't know. I guess maybe they're doing it now for the beginning of the season and the very end games of the season. But if I'm not mistaken, I think the slime time is like where they like digitally enhance the football field on Nickelodeon side, and they like whenever you score touchdowns, they like shoot slime all over the end zone and things like that. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it's
No, I
when
haven't.
when I've watched the Super Bowl, especially when I'm scrolling on Twitter, I get so many like slime time NFL feeds of like things that happen at the Super Bowl, seeing people score touchdowns and then just like slime all over the end zone. It's pretty fantastic.
Be a funny way to make it more challenging instead of digitally making it slime, like actually have the players get slimed when they make a touchdown. So therefore it becomes more challenging because now you have to play covered in
Covered
slime.
in slime. Yeah. Just have the one instead of like the Gatorade, just have the like two kids with slime inside of something and they just come and slime you.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, all right, now you got to play the rest of the game like that.
Yep. Like especially if it's the quarterback said, no.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude.
Fumble again from the quarterback.
Nickelodeon, just pay us some royalties. We're just coming up with more and more ideas for you guys.
Yeah.
Uh,
Extreme NFL.
Blossom, what's up, Blossom? Good to see you. Got the girlfriend in town. What's up? Hola, she says. Girlfriend is certainly checking us out today. Appreciate you, babe. Ram Jam says WWE is going to be in Calgary tomorrow. Yeah, I heard Bret the Hitman Hart is going to be out there also. I'm really excited to see him. And Sam, what's up, Sam? Hi, Adam. Okay, hope you're okay, mate. Did you hear about the Goonies sequel?
How many
What
times have they announced this?
is a Goonies sequel? Sequel?
I mean, let me check now because
Did they just drop that news today?
I guess let me see because I've just it's been going on so long. I constantly hear about a Goonie sequel in development, and yep, we have another one. This one's coming from the Daily Mail, Hollywood classic, The Goonie. Goddamn stupid. Please accept our cookies and shit. I hate those. Hollywood classic The Goonies given the green light for a sequel 40 years after the original with star-studded cast set to return. I want to be excited for that, but like again, I've been hearing that there's a sequel for The Goonies in development for like the last 15 years. So I'll believe it
Yeah.
when I see a teaser or when I hear something from the actual cast.
Yeah, because this is they actually source their information from this website, The Sun. Isn't that like a tabloid's I wonder how credible The Sun is. Or if that's like just more like tabloid. The plan is a source said there's a plan to start developing the ideas for the follow up next summer with the possible release of 2026, 2027. It's like major stars will come back, but the possibility of where to take the sequel are endless. It still feels kind of shaky to me, Stuart, reading this thing.
Yeah. I
What's
even I don't know if I ever mentioned this to you, but like when I was working box office one day, I had a guy straight up telling me, "Oh yeah, I just got back from Skywalker Ranch. We're mixing together the footage for Goonies 2. It's going to be a great movie." And I'm like, I don't think that's true, but cool. Good for you.
Yeah, I don't think that's correct. That's funny. Let's see here. Who else we got here? Marcelino. He says Stewart is finally back. Also, I heard Netflix most controversial movie is finally being removed, and hopefully it dies one day and never gets talked about again. I don't know what movie he's referring to, but yeah, man, Marcelino's been waiting for you to get back, Stewart. I think I've been boring him with just my own point of view and perspective. So he's super thrilled to have you back, man.
Gotta have the double side.
Absolutely. Ram Jam says Bret Hart has his own bar in Calgary called Hitman's Bar. I like it. If I'm ever out that way, I might have to check it out for sure.
I wonder if any dumb people go in there actually expecting to find hitmen in there. Like, I need you to kill my husband. And then just like some random dude just being like, you need help.
Yeah, not that type of hitman bar, buddy. But yeah, guys, let us feel free to comment on any of the topics that we talk about here today. Remember, at the end of the day, these are simply just our A+ opinions, but we certainly always want to know yours. So as we go through some of our topics, if you have any thoughts or comments to share, feel free to go ahead and drop them in the live chat if you'd like to, or in the comment section box below after the video wraps. And then, yeah, feel free to go ahead and submit any live viewer questions over that you certainly might have. But Stuart, let's go ahead and kick off this show and get into our first segment. And we're going to get into honorable mentions for you guys today. Ram Jam also says, I read a little of more of the future of Power Rangers. Yeah, I'm kind of I don't want to say I'm kind of over the Power Ranger news right now, but I think I'm just more let down than anything. Let me know whatever you've learned or discovered, Ram Jam. I haven't really been keeping up with Power Ranger news after the Boom Studios Power Rangers Prime announcement. So I don't know if there's any word on the Power Ranger reboot, or if there's been a new pitch to any streaming services or companies. I have no idea, but whatever you find, Ram Jam, if there's a link to something, feel free to send it over to us. But let's go ahead and get into some honorable mentions. For those of you joining us for the first time, honorable mentions, pretty much topics that didn't quite make our top 6, but certainly felt it was definitely worthy for you guys to certainly know about. So, Stuart, I don't know if you have any honorable mentions. I think I might have sent you my list of what I want to talk about, but I don't know if there's anything that jumped out to you that you wanted to discuss.
Nothing major. One of the things that you mentioned, I'll definitely have a lot to say on with honorable mentions. But I guess the one thing that I thought was kind of interesting is, and I'm sure everyone in the chat is going to laugh at me for this. I was under the assumption that the upcoming Lord of the Rings animated movie was going to be straight to HBO Max. And it wasn't until this last weekend working Beetlejuice and seeing the trailer actually playing on the big screen, I realized, oh, this is coming to theaters. And it gets me excited because I can't remember. I think maybe it was the Disney Winnie the Pooh movie back in 2013, but I genuinely cannot remember the last time there's been an American release of a 2D animated movie, because everything has always been like 3D animation ever since that kind of became the dominant way to animate. So I'm actually even more excited for this movie, knowing that it's coming to theaters now.
Yeah, the War of Rohirrim. I am kind of really surprised too that it's going to be up on the big screen. I wasn't quite sure exactly for a while as to, I don't want to say why they decided to put it on the big screen instead of just straight to HBO Max. But I don't think it's very well. I mean, outside of the occasional anime on the big screen, the idea of a big franchise like Lord of the Rings in animation on the big screen, I don't know, for some reason it just carries a different level of weight to me. I don't really know why I feel that way, but I'm really eager to kind of see this story in animation on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. What other I thought I had something else pulled up. For honorable mentions, you know what? I do want to get right into Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball wind up dropping a official trailer for their upcoming animated series, Dragon Ball. Was it Daima?
Mm-hmm.
Am I pronouncing it right? Daima?
You are indeed.
They dropped a new trailer. The trailer also begins saying this is the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball, also, which is kind of bananas. But for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to check out the trailer, let's go ahead and play it now. It does have some. It also does have some subtitles too, so that should certainly help. But you know what? Let me make sure I share it with the volume. Okay. All right, here we go. If you guys haven't seen it, this is Dragon Ball Daima's trailer.
또 토르시 부피리토 파로 호르타라 토도 토르시 부피리토 파로.
Who does the music for this stuff?
I'm not sure.
ドラゴンボールを使うか。恐れるものは全ていなくなりました。
そろそろね。
さあ、やってるぞ。
俺はグロリオ、頼みがある。
パンチだ。よろしく。パンパカパーン。なんか面白そうだな。
Demon Realm, okay. Is there a release date? October. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So next
Awesome.
month, I hope it goes straight to Crunchyroll when it gets released, and I hope like the dub
hope so,
comes
too.
out like as fast as the subtitle version, because I'm excited. I absolutely love the animation. It looks fantastic. The new character designs with them all being kids, they look pretty adorable. And I especially love like Goku and Vegeta's reaction to seeing each other as children, both of them being like, "What?" And the only one who doesn't seem to mind the whole thing, of course, which makes sense, is Bulma, who actually seems like weirdly excited, like as she's like feeling her face. I like the fact that we're exploring like the demon realm, which was kind of mentioned like during the Boo saga, but we never really got to explore it fully. So I'm curious if this means like we'll see maybe some more lore in terms of Deborah. There was rumors originally that the characters we'll follow were related to Deborah, which I know that for Xenoverse fans means that whole game would probably be retconned in the process, but you know, I never considered Xenoverse to be canon to begin with, so that's totally fine. And then yeah, the last thing I gotta talk about, and then I'll throw it to you, is him going Super Saiyan as a kid. So this was something that I remember in GT, because same exact plot line in Dragon Ball GT where Goku gets turned into a kid, but his Super Saiyan abilities were very limited because his younger body just wasn't as used to it as his older body. So I'm curious if that's going to be like something that plays out in this series too, if like maybe his Super Saiyan will have to be like used a lot more sparingly because he just doesn't have the, you know, the body for it anymore. I'm also hoping, but it won't be a deal breaker if they do. I'm hoping that this fits nicely in between Dragon Ball Z and Super, and that they don't try to like retcon Super in doing this series, which I don't think they will. I think this takes place right after Z, and so that's why Beerus and Whis aren't like mentioned or even seen in this.
Yeah, I know Marcelino does ask when it takes place, and everything that I'm seeing, it says that it takes place between the events of Dragon Ball Z and Super. It occurs after the Z fighters defeated Majin Buu, but before the arrival of Beerus. So it takes place in between those two.
Awesome.
Yeah, for me, out of this trailer, you know, while I am used to Dragon Ball GT in the sense of it just being Goku being turned small, I am fascinated in the idea that we also have Vegeta and Piccolo being, it seemingly looked like he was turned small also. I feel like we're in a weird place, Stuart, of like we have like every franchise these days have to have a small cute creature or person in it. Like, I feel like we got Babu Freak from The Rise of Skywalker. We got BB-8. We got Baby Yoda, right? We got like miniature versions of like big popular characters that we love that are just so small and adorable, and almost feels like Dragon Ball's like, you know what, we gotta dive into that market also. So let's just make Goku small again. People thought he was adorable then, and instead of just Goku, let's make everybody small. It just feels like that to me.
It's like didn't turning Goku into a kid piss everyone off during GT? Shh, that show never happened.
Yeah. But now we got Grogu, right? And everybody loves small versions of baby versions of other characters. So yeah,
Of course.
Why
yeah,
not?
it excites me too, because like from what I understand, unlike Super, where for context with Dragon Ball Super, Akira Toriyama's involvement is that he outlined stories, but for the most part, everything like the manga and the show were written by a completely different team, and that's why they actually are very different during Super compared to Z. But for this, from what I understand, Akira Toriyama had full involvement. Like he wrote, I think, the first episode, but then he also had involvement in writing every episode after that. And just seeing how passionate he was for it, that's what gets me, I think, excited more than anything, is that Akira Toriyama seems to really believe in this project. So, man, may that guy rest in peace. So if he's really passionate about this is something that I am really excited to see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he did here. I personally am a fan of, like, I really wanted to see more Super after where we wind up getting, and who knows? I mean, it may happen one day for all I know. I'm not sure what Akira's wishes certainly were, but the fact that he worked on this specifically himself, yeah, I'm definitely interested to see where this all fits. So yeah, we'll see. October 2024, guys. Let us know your thoughts on the Dragon Ball Daima trailer.
I didn't realize this was out already. I have actually been kind of curious, because if I'm not mistaken, Brandon Mejia from Dino Charge plays Trunks' son in this series.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let's see here. What else we got for honorable mentions? You were just, you know what? Let me drop this real quick here. Alien Earth is in the news this week. The girlfriend and I finally got the opportunity to check out Romulus last night.
Ooh, what'd you think?
Yeah, I was a fan. I was a big fan. I really enjoyed the movie for what it was. I asked my girlfriend what she thought. She was like, it's everything that I needed it to be. She's like, she said, had some jump scares, made me scream. It was pretty gruesome, pretty gross. She's like, yep, that's all I needed. So she was a really happy camper. But I liked it. I really enjoyed how it fit into just the lore in general. But yeah, man, that I don't know, that final act still is like cringy to watch. It's like, damn, I can't believe they tried to pull that off, man. What did you think, though? How'd you like the movie?
Oh man, I absolutely loved it. Yeah, everything you
was a
said.
big
I
fan.
love that, like, it fit into the lore perfectly well. I loved this new character that we were following along with their brother. I love that they kept that all out of the trailer too. So when the movie starts and we're on like the mining planet, just getting to see what the actual like worlds kind of look like on the ground, because they're always talking about mining colonies, but we never really get to see them. So now kind of like see what they look like and see the living condition. You're definitely, just from that, rooting for the character to like want to get the hell out of there. And when it comes to that final act that you were talking about, I'm not sure if I should spoil it or not. Two things I want to say about it. You know what? It's been out long enough. So if you don't want spoilers, just, mute the computer for 20 seconds. Yeah, we'll do this when we're done. So first thing is the alien that we see at the end. The guy playing him was actually that tall. They got like someone who was 7 foot tall, 7 foot tall. I think he was playing in the NBA. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, like actually that tall and lengthy. And it kind of helped, because I think like the actress playing the other girl was a little short, so it just made him look that much like, bigger. The other thing too, so the first time watching this movie, I've actually seen it 3 times now. But first time watching it, I was super, super stoned, right? And my brain could not decide if what I was looking at was funny or scary, because the face, just like thinking about it, made me laugh. But then I was also thinking, if I saw this in real life, I would be shitting my pants.
Yeah, the girlfriend. Yeah, me and the girlfriend were like, "Oh my god!" Like, yeah, it was pretty terrifying stuff. Just the design and stuff that they wind up coming up with it. Um, yeah. Anyway, it's just it's like burned into my brain now. But I know I really enjoyed its placement in here. I think tonight the girlfriend and I might watch Aliens
Ooh,
and
yes.
see if how Romulus, if anything, kind of connects into Aliens, and then maybe Aliens 3. But I do like that Fede Alvarez decided to make it all like connect, in the sense of seeing Prometheus and Covenant, like all that stuff is certainly like worth it in regards to um just I don't want to say like you have to have seen all of that to truly understand Alien Romulus, but I think it certainly helps.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Um Okay, yeah,
Done with the
we're done.
spoilers.
We're done with the spoilers.
Yeah.
But getting back to Alien Earth here, this past week they had just a brief teaser. It wasn't anything too crazy. It was just a quick clip of showing a xenomorph just sort of dripping with drool, but that's really all it did. But the concept of Alien Earth, it says Noah Hawley's FX series Alien Earth has revealed the show's log line and had a teaser trailer revealed. It says when a mysterious space vessel crash lands on Earth, a young woman, Sydney Chandler, and a ragtag of tactical soldiers make a fatal discovery that puts them face to face with the planet's greatest threat. So it does make me wonder if one of those big ass alien ships actually does manage to crash land on Earth at some point in time. I'm not quite sure. This is certainly set as a prequel to, I think, even Alien Prometheus, like
Oh.
even Prometheus, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that actually kind of disappoints me then, because now as writers, they're kind of limited because they can't for a fact that the aliens can't be seen outside their group, and that the main characters who see this alien either have to get like forced to not talk about it or killed. It just, I don't know, that when you make it a prequel and you have it take place on Earth, you're really limiting the potential there, because I thought from the title of it, Alien Earth, it was going to be aliens actually on Earth, kind of taking over the not taking over completely, but just spreading through Earth and just making it like a survival kind of show. That would have been cool.
Mm.
But now knowing that it's a prequel, you're a lot more limited because you know that the general public doesn't know about xenomorphs. So yeah, okay. I'm actually slightly less excited now.
Well, yeah, it says the series will serve as a prequel and will be set 30 years before the events of Alien. So I'm wondering, does that come before Prometheus then? I'll have to look at the timeline again.
Actually,
But
yeah.
it's definitely before Alien.
What is I can't remember how many years in the past Prometheus takes place.
So look forward to that. Yeah, if you want to look that up, Stuart, you can. But yeah, that's just some ideas to what Alien Earth is certainly going to be like. Knives Out 3 is in the news this week, Stuart, believe it or not, because apparently this movie has a massive budget, which is kind of throwing people off right now. Hold on a second. Per Jeff Snyder, Knives Out 3 rumored budget is $210 million. This is a substantial upgrade over the $40 million budget of Knives Out. After the success of Knives Out, Netflix paid a whopping $450 million in March of 2021 to secure the rights to the Knives Out sequels. I wonder how that affects the movie, considering the fact that I don't think that this is going to be releasing in theaters. Wake Up Dead Man, the next sequel for Knives Out mystery, is set to stream on Netflix in 2025. But yeah, the budget itself after the first Knives Out was $40 million. I am curious as to how much the Glass Onion's budget was, but apparently Knives Out 3 is now rumored to be $210 million, Stuart. That just seems an absurd amount of money for a movie like Um, for like a movie like Knives Out, but I wonder if that has a lot to do with the casting. But still, even then, I feel like that's still a lot of money. I don't know if you can look up the budget for a Glass of Onion or not, but
Same as Knives Out, also 40 million.
so that's a huge, huge bump up.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is. Any reasons why you think they had a massive bump in budget?
I really hope it's not because they're trying to go more Hollywood with it and try to make it like more action. But that's like the only thing I can think of, unless they really want to film in like some like major locations, and it's going to be like one of those movies where they constantly shift all around the world. But yeah, I have no idea. I got to see a trailer to know why they need so much money for this movie.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
It's also a
Um,
big gamble to do that for Netflix because, I mean, I feel like this is a kind of movie that'll make money no matter what. So for them to like put that much money into it for a movie that is only going to be playing in very select theaters that are okay with playing Netflix films, that just, yeah, I don't know. I hope Netflix knows what they're doing with this one.
yeah, I hope so too. I mean, I would just say I'm kind of glad that it's not being released in theaters. I just don't know if that movie would make its money back, but who knows? I mean, maybe it would, but still, I mean, they paid all that money. Maybe it's one of those things, Stuart, where it's like they paid us all this money, so we gotta use this money at some point in time.
Yeah.
So maybe they decided to put it all on the final film itself, but who knows? You know what? I think I might have to check on Kiddo here in a second, Stuart. I did have one other honorable mention. I was gonna dive into some the hunt for Gollum news. If you could do me a favor, Stuart, if you can pull up on the Facebook page, if you go to our A Plus Hero Report Facebook page, there's an article from Deadline of Ian McKellen um, returning to or them reaching out to him to reprise his role as Gandalf. Um, see if you can. Trying to see how far down it is. It is on our Facebook page.
Is it the one by Screen Rant by any chance?
No, the one I pulled was Deadline, but if you find it online, if you find it through Screen Rant, you can. There's two articles I wanted to highlight. Ian McKellen returning as Gandalf and Orlando Bloom being reached out to, one by Variety and one by Deadline. See if you can look up those two articles. Yeah, Ian McKellen and Orlando Bloom being approached to return for Hunt of Gollum. If you can just highlight those, and I'll be right back in a little bit. Okay.
All right, I don't have or it's not letting me log into Facebook, so I'll just try to see if I can find them on Google.
Yeah, just put
News.
in the Hunt for Gollum, Ian McKellen, and Orlando Bloom, and I'm sure it'll pop up. But
Cool.
I'll be right back. Okay.
Sounds good. See, I can't find it from Deadline, unfortunately. I found one from Screen Rant and IGN. I'm sure they'd be fine, but I'd rather go to the original source, which I'm sure is on here somewhere. Actually, maybe I should just type in Deadline. Yeah, I think I found it. Cool. All right, Ian McKellen reveals he's been approached to reprise his role as Gandalf and in Andy Serkis's new Lord of the Rings film, The Hunt for Gollum. The immortal words spoken by never mind. Just trying to find where they get to the point. Okay, here we go. Ian McKellen told the Big Issue enthusiasm for the Lord of the Rings show enthusiasm for the Lord of the Rings shows no sign of abating. I can't tell you any more than that. I've been told there are going to be more films and Gandalf will be involved and they hope I'll be playing him. So it's not really a yes and it's not really a no. It's just kind of like the studio wants me to come back. They're going to use Gandalf with or without me. So yeah, let's keep going and see what he has to say. The 85-year-old actor who is recovering from falling off the stage in Player Kings. I did not hear about this in West London's he added, when I don't know what the script is, it's not written yet, so they better be quick. Yeah, that's actually pretty funny. I don't think he's the kind of actor that would want to be a part of a film if he didn't at least get to see the script. I know that there was also some drama going on with him when he was in The Hobbit. I don't want to say drama. I don't want to make it seem like he was like, trying to cause anything. Not quite, but he did mention his frustration, however, when working on The Hobbit, because he just wasn't used to working with so much green screen, and so happened to like kind of rely on his imagination rather than being able to play off of what's there. It just wasn't something that he himself was used to, so he didn't have too much fun with that. So I wonder if that would be like one of his conditions if he were to come back to the Lord of the Rings franchise, if that would be like, okay, you gotta make sure that we actually have like an actual set to work on, instead of just like putting me into a background and just like fixing it in post, basically. In a separate interview with the BBC, McKellen said he had no plans retiring from acting. I shall keep at it as long as the legs and lungs and the mind keep working, the actor who is promoting his new movie, The Critic. Oh, I didn't know he was going to be in that movie. Warner Brothers Discovery announced in May that Andy Serkis will direct and star in 2 new Lord of the Rings films, working title Lord of the Rings: Hunt for Gollum. The first movie is slated to release in 2026. Fran Walsh, I'm just trying to see if there's any more things that's relevant about this. It doesn't look like it. Peter Jackson will produce. McKellen starred as Gandalf in all of Jackson's original movies, the Hobbit trilogy. And the Hobbit trilogy. His return to the franchise would be a major coup for Serkis. Yeah, so nothing new. Mikhail, because now it's about his him falling off of a stage, and he broke his wrist apparently in doing so. Killen said he is Okay, McKellen said he is taking the rest of 2024 off. Very understanding, of course, meaning he could return to acting next year, which is likely when the new Lord of the Rings movies will go into production. So yeah, the timing lines up. Ian McKellen is not saying no, but he's also not necessarily saying yes. It really just kind of seems like he's gonna wait until he sees like a script, till he knows exactly what it is that they are planning to do production wise with this movie, which I think is the smart route for him. Again, just I don't want to be putting words in his mouth, but it sounds like he just doesn't want to kind of end up in another situation similar to The Hobbit, where he may have enjoyed the script, but he clearly didn't enjoy his time on set very much, again just kind of due to the more modern production of it. And by modern, I mean like, just Warner Brothers themselves really wanting to test their new technology. It is kind of funny because in a way, the Hobbit trilogy shares a lot of similarities to the prequel trilogies, in the sense that both were kind of greenlit by the studio because it was like a really good excuse for them to be able to test out some new technology at the time. In the case of the prequel trilogy, it was to really push how far they can take the new green screen technology, and the fact that like 2 and 3 were shot on digital cameras, which was something very new for a high budget movie. Like you would see that in independent films, but you wouldn't see that in like high budget blockbusters at the time. So that was like a really big deal. And then, you look at the Hobbit trilogy, cutting 2 years later, them using very new cameras that could record, 60 frames per second, and then shooting them on film, and then also like playing them on projectors that played him in 60 frames per second. That was something, very new that the studios really wanted to test out at the time. So it's kind of interesting. You have those two similarities there. I'm just ranting and going on because Adam is not back yet, and I'm just trying to pass the time. But so I think overall he's smart about the way he worded it, saying he's not saying no, but he's also has not agreed to join quite yet. But definitely let me know your thoughts about this in the comments. If you guys have any thoughts about Lord of the Rings, what your thoughts of it. Oh, here we go. Do you think the future of the Lord of the Rings will do Born of Hope? Is that a book or just kind of a story that was like mentioned within the Lord of the Rings trilogy? Adam, do you know what Born of Hope is? Like, if that's like,
I do not know. I've never heard of it before, honestly.
all right, let me actually Google this real quick. So basically, I just kind of read how Ian McKellen said that he's not saying no, but he doesn't seem to be saying yes at the moment. Currently, he's taking a break from acting during 2024, which makes sense because he unfortunately broke his wrist really quite recently.
Wow.
So he will be back into acting in 2025, presumably, which will also be when all the Lord of the Rings projects goes into production. And again, he hasn't said yes, but he also hasn't said no. But my question is, do you think there's a possibility of him returning with that kind of not answer kind of answer?
Yeah, I kind of do. I think they'll probably put some money towards maybe a little bit of a de-aging here or there, maybe some great makeup artists, but I think they'll probably try and see if they can make it work. Same thing with Orlando Bloom. It looks like he spoke with Andy Serkis. He says, I really don't know what they're planning. I did speak to Andy Serkis, and they did say they were thinking about how to do things. I was like, how would that even work? And he was like, well, AI. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was pretty magical time in my life, and it's one of those things that there's not a downside to it. So it seems like he's pretty open also to possibly returning. But it looks like they've at least had conversations about it. So I think it's more eye-opening that Andy Serkis has even like reached out to some of these people. But I think the fact that that they are, I think, is kind of promising. So yeah, I think mix some AI in there, some de-aging, some good makeup, and I can see some of these people actually returning.
I mean, I don't even think you need to do any digital effects. I think Orlando Bloom actually looks like he hasn't aged since 2000. So
he's a real life elf.
Exactly.
Orlando might be able to get away with it. But yeah, no, I think it's possible. I think it's possible. If there's anybody I'm worried about, it's Ian McKellen, in the sense of like he's just getting older. So it's like, guys, hurry up with this thing. If you're gonna make this happen, make it happen.
Yeah. Also, okay, so Born of Hope was a fan film. I'll definitely have to check that out at some point.
Guys, appreciate you tackling that last honorable mention for us. But that will do it for our honorable mention portion of the show. And Stuart, are you ready to get into some main topics with me, man?
Always.
First and foremost, if you guys saw at the top of our thumbnail here in the very beginning, we're going to be getting into some Batman news as our main course, if you will, as Matt Reeves is back in the news here this week, giving us a little bit of a tease as to what we could certainly expect when it comes to Batman 2, if you will. They are very much hard at work on the script. I am kind of curious if there's even a finished script, to be quite frank with you, but it does seem as though they are, in fact, setting their eyes to begin filming next year. What time next year, that I certainly don't know, but Matt Reeves is eager to talk to us a little bit about what's to come when it comes to the upcoming sequel for the Batman. So let's go ahead and dive into this brand new article. This actually comes to us from Deadline.com. It says Matt Reeves teases the Batman 2, and if supervillain Gentleman Ghost fits in his universe. So Matt Reeves kind of tackles several different topics in here. I am curious as to why they decided to choose Gentleman Ghost to ask him this question, but I do believe if you've been watching the Batman Caped Crusader series at all, the animated series on Prime Video, the Gentleman Ghost, I actually believe is in an episode. I don't know if that's episode 4, episode 5, but he definitely does pop up, certainly on the fantastical side of things. So I do think that's probably why they decided to ask him that question, to kind of really get an idea as to, how grounded will some of these Batman movies certainly be going forward. So let's dive into this. This is, again, from Deadline.com. Matt Reeves is going to give us a little bit of tease. It says Matt Reeves is gearing up to start production on the Batman 2 and is teasing what to expect from the sequel starring Robert Pattinson. The filmmaker gave a time frame for starting filming on the DC Studios film and explained how HBO's Penguin series will be tied to the superhero film. He says the plan is to shoot next year, and we're finishing up the script now. Okay, so he's pretty far along with the script. Colin Farrell will be a part of the movie. We've shared the script as we've been going along with DC and the studio, and they're super excited. Reeves noted that the Penguin, which stars Colin Farrell as Gotham City's villain, is the entry point to the Batman sequel, and it's absolutely connected to where we leave things in the series. You know what? So before I continue, I am kind of curious about that sentiment, the idea that it's the entry point to the Batman sequel and is absolutely connected to where we leave things in this series. Do you think Matt Reeves will make the Batman in such a way to where you won't necessarily have had to had watch the Penguin to understand what's going on, or do you find the Penguin as like necessary homework to understand what's going on?
I don't think it's going to be necessary homework. I think that it will definitely help. I think it'll definitely be like a like kind of a reward, I guess you could say, because they'll make like subtle references to the Penguin show, but I don't think it'll be necessary. I think, wherever the Penguin leaves off and the movie takes off after where the Penguin left off, I think it'll be like in a kind of cliffhanger way, but one that you could see like one you could use your imagination if you've only seen the first Batman movie to kind of guess like how they ended up in this situation. Like Gotham is flooded. Okay, the Penguin now being the crime boss makes sense. I don't know how he became the crime boss, but him taking advantage of the situation makes sense. I don't need to watch an entire show to know how that happened. I think it'll be something along those lines.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. He also says there are details that actually connect right into the way the next movie begins and the way that Oz enters the world as we hand the baton back to Batman, and Batman is on another case. So he says, yeah, there are details that actually connect right into the way the next movie starts and the way that Oz enters the world as we hand the baton back to Batman, and Batman is on another case. One, I am curious as to what that other case is certainly going to be. Like, what is he trying to solve? But I do that sentence, for me at least, it feels like it piggybacks off of what you said, that yes, while I do think that it's going to have something that actually connects right into the way the next movie begins, I do think that they're going to do a pretty good job of the sense of like, hey, if you didn't watch Penguin, letting us know immediately like what Penguin's position is sort of in this new look Gotham since the last time that we've kind of seen it. So I do think that sentence kind of builds off of that. He says the director said that he wants these stories to be a meditation on the way Gotham is the way that it is. It's such a brutal place, and we're digging for answers as to why these people's lives are this way. Reeves added that the Batman 2 is going to dig into the epic story about deeper corruption, and it goes into places that he couldn't anticipate in the first one. The seeds of where this goes are all in the first movie, and it expands in the way that will show you aspects of the character you've never got to see. Batman is constantly battling these forces, but those forces can't be entirely exorcised, so the next movie delves deeper into that. I did hear some people saying, Stuart, that they took this line of going into the epic story about deeper corruption and that it goes places he didn't anticipate. I've been seeing some people reference the idea of the Court of Owls,
Hmm.
maybe being kind of brought up. I don't know if that's something that we thought about after watching the first Batman, if that's the route that they're going. But a lot of things Batman recent, or at least when I think of the Court of Owls, it's fresh off of that most recent Gotham Knights series. It does feel like Court of Owls is ready for the big screen. Do you think that that's when he talks about deeper corruption? Do you think that they may get some shine in this sequel?
Oh God, I hope so. If not this one, then hopefully the third movie, because I think there was definitely plenty of build up towards it with the first film. With talking about his dad's position in Gotham and that kind of stuff. I feel like you can go deeper, and I honestly, if they wanted to, I don't think they will. They could even do like a whole thing of how the Court of Owls are, indirectly connected with Batman, with the murder of Batman's, parents. But yeah, no, I think Owls would fit perfectly into the kind of world that Matt Reeves is trying to create. Because I don't see them. It's not that I don't see them in James Gunn's universe. It's that I don't see them anytime soon in James Gunn's universe. They're not something you would want to introduce in like a first Batman movie. So I don't see them starting out the Batman franchise for the DC universe like that. So I think if we're not going to get it there, this is a perfect place to like give it to us.
Um, He also goes on to say, says DC Comics fans hope Reeves would introduce a supervillain, Gentleman Ghost, but the filmmakers say that's not happening in the universe he's creating. I personally haven't been asking for Gentleman Ghost. I think he literally just brought it up because people might have been talking about him popping up in the Cape Crusader animated series, and it became like a point of something to kind of point out, but I don't see a lot of people asking for that particular villain. What was important to me, he said, was to find a way to take these pop icons, these mythical characters that everybody knows, and translate it so that Gotham feels like a place in our world. We might push to the edge of the fantastical, but we would never go into the full fantastical. It's meant to feel quite grounded. He says it doesn't mean that you won't see characters that people love. That's exactly what we want to do. Gentleman Ghost is probably pushed a bit too far for us to be able to find a way to do, but there's a fun way to think about how we would take characters that might push over into a bit of fantastical and find a way that makes sense of that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think yeah, go ahead, Stuart. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just like saying, yeah, that makes sense, because like that's exactly what he said during or not exactly, but it's similar to what he was saying when the first movie came out. So and especially when we're gonna have like a Batman that goes into the more fantastical elements for the DC universe, it makes sense. There's no reason to have like two Batman kind of with a similar vibe. So it makes sense that if you're going to have kind of like the more fantastical Batman in the DC universe, you want to keep this one more grounded.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. Marcelino, he says fans are fatigued of the ideas of Batman villains always being grounded and not fantastical, which is why they're glad that James Gunn will embrace it in the DCU. Do you think there's any sentiments towards that? I mean, it is interesting to me because I want to say ever since this article dropped, I have been seeing a lot of people. I don't want to say, I think the term turn on Matt Reeves is a little bit much, but I have felt like while a lot of people really enjoyed the first, the Batman by Matt Reeves, now the idea almost feels like of James Gunn doing a DCU version of the Batman. I don't want to say has overshadowed what Matt Reeves is doing, but it's almost brought a level of boredom isn't the right word, but maybe like he said, fatigued with the idea of grounded Batmans. We had the Christopher Nolan grounded Batman, and now we're getting ourselves the Matt Reeves stuff. We got a little bit of a grounded Batman with Ben Affleck, even though we didn't necessarily get like a full on sort of Ben Affleck trilogy or a set of movies or anything like that to really see how they were going to handle those series of films. do you think there's anything to it? Do you think fans are really fatigued over the groundedness of Batman stuff now?
I can't speak for most fans, but I can speak for the fans that I've talked to, like between my friends and some coworkers that really like the Batman movie. I haven't heard them say that they're fatigued of the grounded villains. I think there would be more people annoyed by this statement if we weren't going to have another Batman in the DC
Mm.
universe. In fact, like I think that if this movie was like part of the DC universe, then this kind of statement would actually bug me. But I think because they've made it very clear that they're going to be two different Batmans going on at the same time, I think the smartest way to like separate the two of them to make sure general audiences don't know is to keep one grounded and let the other one have a lot more fun with the fantastical elements.
Yeah, I think for me, I there are elements to, like, man, I really wouldn't mind the fantastical a little bit more. I know a lot of us kind of crap over Joel Schumacher's um no, I'm
Oh,
not
the
Joel Schu
Batman
but
Forever or
yeah, the
Batman
Batman
Robin.
Forever and Batman and Robin and stuff, but there are elements of those things that I would like to see kind of brought back a little bit, like I wouldn't mind seeing a modern day Mr. Freeze or a Clayface or just something that you can really kind of push the boundaries on a little bit more. But I would agree with you, Stuart. Like, I am kind of happy that James Gunn is open-minded enough to allow there to be two different or distinctively different Batmans kind of going on at once. The fact that we'll have Matt Reeves's Batman that will be sort of more grounded. For me, I'm not necessarily as fatigued about it just because of the fact that, like you mentioned, I know that I'm going to be getting something significantly different from James Gunn's DCU Batman. And I really love the first Batman that Matt Reeves did. And so, his groundedness, his ground element. Look, some people still say that the Matt Reeves Batman is like the Batman movie. Like, if you're looking for a true Batman movie, that's as close as you'll probably ever get in the sense of ripping that character out from the comics and putting him on the big screen. I personally still think Dark Knight is that film, and maybe that is because maybe it reaches into the fantastical just a little bit more, even though Christopher Nolan stuff tends to be a little bit more grounded. But I do think that there's a world that we live in where we can have both. And I don't necessarily know if we have to choose I don't necessarily know if we have to choose which one's our favorite, or like crap on the groundedness or crap on the fantastical in order to enjoy either one. You know what I mean? Like, we can live in a society where they both certainly can be great for the franchise and not kind of take away from it. And even though some people may be fatigued by the groundedness, I don't necessarily think that equates to bad movies or bad stories, right? Like, you may be fatigued, but the Batman is an incredible film in its own right. And so I think we could still have those same levels of enjoyment, grounded or fantastical. But Matt Reeves is creating the world that he is, and James Gunn is creating the world that he is. I don't think we have to crap on either of them to get our point across, though.
Exactly.
Why Arc? What's up, Why Arc? Matt Reeves, the Batman Court of Owls. We'll see. It doesn't, you're not the only person that's suggesting that. Sam, what's up, Sam? He says, I heard Clayface in Batman 2. Clayface, I think, would be interesting, Stuart, in the sense that I think Cape Crusader might have given Matt Reeves like a perfect outline as to how to do Clayface without being too fantastical. But I have a feeling Matt Reeves maybe had this idea in mind before Cape Crusader even came out. But again, we haven't heard that Clayface 2 was going to be in there. But I think Cape Crusader confirmed for me, if we did want to do a Clayface more grounded, that's probably how you would try and pull it off. But what did you think, though?
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I have been hearing, though, the rumor of Clayface in the Batman for a while, and I'm all down for it. I'd love to see like what, like, in Matt Reeves's vision, Clayface like grounded would look like. And I say grounded, Not realistic, because there's no way you can make a Clayface character realistic. But I do think there's definitely some, potential to make him grounded like they did in the Cape Crusader. So I would love to see if that's what Matt Reeves actually had in mind. In fact, I actually wouldn't doubt it if like this was an idea he had and he ran it with JJ Abrams and who are the other
he is an executive producer.
he is, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't doubt it if he ran it through JJ
Wow.
Abrams and Bruce Timm, and if they just decide to test the waters with it.
Wow, that just hit me. I was like, wait a minute, he is executive producing that animated series, so he might have some say in it, honestly, also. But yeah, it's not confirmed that Clayface will certainly be in there, but I feel like I've been hearing rumors of Clayface in some way of doing a Mr. Freeze. Have been the two things that I've been hearing about. Sam says I think Barry Kogan might reprise his role as a Joker, possibly.
Mm-hmm. It would make sense. They kind of built him up, and then also, what's his face? Todd Phillips, right? The director of the Joker. Yeah, he did confirm there are zero plans to make a third film, which would mean that like the Batman would be able to use their version of the Joker anytime. So I assume they'd be free to use him during the Batman 2.
Marcelo says also fans do not want to see Joker in Batman 2. The Joker scene at the end, many expressed felt it was studio mandated. I don't know if it was studio mandated or not. I feel like Matt Reeves has talked about this before, but maybe I'm tripping. Do you know anything about it, Stuart?
The only thing I know is that he wasn't allowed to call him the Joker explicitly in the movie, which honestly I don't think he would have done regardless. I think the buildup was a lot better than just saying I'm the Joker. But yeah, I know that he wasn't allowed to use the term the Joker because of the Todd Phillips movie at the time.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll be back for Joker for Batman 2 or not. I wouldn't mind another scene with him. If he wants to be a villain come Batman 3, I'm perfectly okay with that. I've had my fill of Jokers though, so I wouldn't mind the idea of another Batman movie without the Joker. Plus, it does make me wonder, where James Gunn is going to be taking their version of Batman also. But yeah, I think I wouldn't say I'm fatigued with the grounded aspect of Batman, because I still think it works for me really, really well. But I will say I'm still open to revisiting some of those characters, because I would like to see them in a more modern time brought to live action. So we'll see though.
Okay, I like this idea though. They should have the Mad Hatter in Batman 2, and played by Matthew Lillard. I love that casting.
Yeah, I love it too. I think
I want to see him. Okay, I want to see him in the DC universe as a villain. I don't know which one yet, but whether it's the Mad Hatter or someone else, I think he would make an awesome comic book villain.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Matt Reeves gives us an update on the Batman. Looks like the final script is almost ready to go, as they plan on filming sometime next year. So what's your level of excitement for the Batman? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And who would you like to see? I mean, it does say Batman's going to be on a brand new case, so I am curious as to what mystery he's certainly trying to solve this time around. But I'm eager to, I will say, Stuart, I'm so eager to jump back into this world. I thought Matt Reeves did an incredible job with the first Batman film. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do here for the Penguin, and giving us another launching off point to get us hyped for the return of the Batman 2. So let us know your guys' thoughts in regards to Matt Reeves' comments in the comment section box below.
Yep, you and me both. And I know that the Arkham show was scrapped, but James Gunn does seem to really want to work more with Matt Reeves. So I would love to see him not only work on the Batman for his universe, but I'd love to see what he has to do with a Batman for the DC universe. If he's whether it's the Batman movie or if it's like a spinoff like within the world of Gotham, I'd love to see him explore that world too. See what it looks like when Matt Reeves decides to explore the more fantastical side of Batman.
Yeah, that should be pretty fun. Because I gotta think that even after Matt Reeves wraps up his time on the Batman, considering what him being tied to Cape Crusader, also as an executive producer. It does feel like James Gunn, I'm hoping, would like to keep somebody like Matt Reeves close by as he further develops his DCU, whether that be getting involved with future Batman stuff or maybe having something else in mind for him to kind of work on next. I would like to see Matt Reeves stay within the DCU at some point. So we'll see. But let's go ahead and move on to our next topic as we go from DCU's Elseworlds to the traditional DCU universe itself. As we had a huge bombshell announcement that dropped really early on this week, and more details have kind of emerged since the last time that we talked about this. I did go ahead and do my own individual video for this up on our YouTube page if you want to check it out for yourselves, but I thought it would be interesting to talk about as we got some news in regards to the upcoming Lantern series, as one of the websites that we've been following closely lately, Nexus Point News, along with the insider Jeff Snyder this week, released a huge exclusive reveal that none other than Josh Brolin has been offered the role of Hal Jordan in the upcoming Lanterns film. You know, I talked about it a little bit earlier this week in the sense of, you know, Josh Brolin may not necessarily be my first choice of Hal Jordan, but it is interesting to see what they possibly are going for when they think of a Hal Jordan in this DCU. And so I wanted to highlight the exclusive report for you guys one more time in case you missed it earlier this week, and really get Stuart's thoughts on things. And we'll let you also know what else has transpired since this news has sort of dropped. So let's go ahead and pull this up. This is from Nexus Point News. Here we go. Just to give you the initial exclusive report, Josh Brolin has been offered the role of Hal Jordan in DC's Studios' Lanterns. It says, we have exclusively learned that Josh Brolin has been offered the role of Green Lantern Hal Jordan. This version of the character is described as a Lantern legend and will be a veteran member of the Corps. White actors in their 40s and 50s were being looked at for this role until it was determined that Brolin was the top choice for the role of Hal Jordan. It is important to note that although Brolin has been offered the role, it is uncertain whether or not he will accept it. If he were to turn down the offer, they would move down their short list to the next option. And this is where the article does give us an update to let us know that while Josh Brolin is certainly the one that got offered it and their top choice, there is a short list of actors. According to the article, it says they've learned that Chris Pine and Timothy Oliphant are on the short list for Hal Jordan, with Pine being the next choice if Brolin declines. I've also heard Ewan McGregor's name thrown out there, along with Matthew McConaughey as shortlist actors as well, being on here. So remember, Brolin's been offered, but in case Brolin doesn't pick it up, they do have other options that they could possibly go with as well. And they say that they have not cast for Jon Stewart as of yet, but they are going to be going for a younger Jon Stewart who will technically be the rookie, while Hal Jordan will certainly be the veteran, if you will. So the story is continuing to develop. As of right now, I do believe that this series is set to go into production in January of next year, simultaneous with the upcoming Supergirl movie. So this looks like this is going to be one of the first DCU series sort of out of the gate after Creature Commandos, Stuart. So yeah, first off, before I even get your thoughts on Josh Brolin being offered, because I do want to throw this to you first. I did find somebody over on Twitter, over on Facebook this week that actually did some AI artwork of
Ooh.
Josh Brolin as a potential Green Lantern, and I thought these were pretty damn good. Some really great shots. It almost like kind of inspired from like the Ryan Reynolds suit a little bit ish, taking its own liberties. But you know, AI can do wonders, man, in regards to making them look like Green Lanterns here. But now that you got a glimpse of what Josh Brolin could potentially look like, Stuart, has it changed your mind on this at all, or what are some of your thoughts when you initially hear this?
Oh no, it has not changed my mind seeing him in the AI photos. It's cool though, don't get me wrong. So the reason I am mixed on this. So on the one hand, I definitely see where they're going with this. It seems like what was mentioned in the article. Excuse me. They want to have a more veteran Green Lantern. And they want to basically have kind of like a mentor-mentoree kind of relationship going on with him and John Stewart. And on top of that, actually, let me get into the one thing that does kind of like worry me about this is that one, you know, the guy's a bit seasoned, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it does mean that when it comes to, you know, the current timeline in the DC universe, you are kind of, you're going to be a little more limited on whether or not, how do I put it? He, you know, given the age difference between him and Superman, and I'm assuming some of the other core League members, it's unlikely we're going to be seeing him in the Justice League. So it may just be like, you know, John Stewart taking that place in the Justice League, which is totally fine. But you know, it is going to be a bit odd having Hal Jordan being like a lot more, you know, seasoned than a lot of the other core Justice League members. So you know, a little bit, you know, not bad, but just you know, a bit of concern there. And then the other thing too is, you know, when they said that they were going to have like him being a more seasoned, you know, Green Lantern veteran compared to John Stewart, I didn't know it was going to be like that big of an age gap between the two of them. So just, you know, kind of just, I know it's bad for me to sound like I'm being ageist, but like, you know, again, he's just like,
how dare you?
Old. I know, I'm sorry, but like, he's just a little older than I expected. But I think I know why they're doing this. And I think it would actually be and this is where I think actually the decision, if they go this direction, might be kind of brilliant. I don't think they're keeping him for Green Lantern per se. I think they want to wait, and then eventually we're going to get him as Parallax, basically after he loses his whole city and then goes absolutely insane and then recreates his own city with the Green Lantern ring. I think that's what they're building up to. And if it is what they're building up to, I think Josh Brolin is the perfect actor for that, you know, version of Hal Jordan as the Green Lantern. I'm curious if that's what they'll do, because I know that there are some Hal Jordan fans that absolutely hated the whole storyline where he went evil and became Parallax. But if that is the direction they're going for, I think Josh Brolin is perfect. If it's not, he just, I don't know. The two big things, his age, and then the other thing is I just don't know if he has that humor that Hal Jordan had, because Hal Jordan is kind of he's not really like a hothead in the sense of someone who will make dumb decisions, but he's a hothead in the terms of like he usually likes to make jokes here and there. He's kind of you know, a funny guy. So I just don't know if Josh Brolin has the charisma to pull that off, but I could be totally wrong. Again, this is why I'm very mixed on the casting. I don't think it's a bad casting per se if it ends up happening. It's just he would not have been my first choice. I feel like there are a lot of other characters in the DC universe that he would be perfect for. I just don't know if Hal Jordan is that role I would have given to him.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you in the sense that Josh Brolin certainly isn't my first choice, that's for sure. You know, when we get our short list of actors, and I got this short list after I did my video. I didn't know who else was on the list, but I think I posted the video, and then maybe a day or two after we wind up getting this information. You know, I think out of all of them, I personally probably would have gone with Chris Pine.
Same.
You know, when the article says that Chris Pine, if Josh Brolin doesn't accept, they probably will go with Chris Pine might be the next up. I can easily see that. I do love Chris Pine in the sense that, one, I think he could easily pull off a veteran Hal Jordan. in his age. I do think that he's got a level of charisma and charm to him that I think works for somebody like Hal Jordan. But I also do think that Josh Brolin can pull off charm like that too. Like he's got like this smirk and like this sexy old man vibe about him that I think still would really like, captivate the ladies and stuff. Like I could see him having been like a arrogant jock pilot in his, at some point in time in his career easily. So I do think that Josh, even though he may not be as charismatic as a Hal Jordan that we probably know of, I think he's got the charisma to certainly pull it off. But somebody like Chris Pine, I think, really stands out to me. Like that probably would have been my first choice. I think for me at least, Stuart, to bounce off of what you were mentioning, one of the things that I talked about in my article or when I did my video was, while I don't see Josh Brolin as my first choice, I don't know why it gives me Parallax vibes also. Like
Yes.
there's and I have a feeling that that's really the reason why he's been picked, because of the fact that I do think that he can play both sides of the coin well. I think he can be that sort of charming guy that knows how to wink and give that smirk and, but also at the same time play that rough and gruff sort of veteran team member. But we've seen him also in villain roles before, and I do think that he has that ability to flip that switch to being somebody that's charming to then being somebody that's villainous and really sort of tapping into something evil. And so I think he does bring sort of that old age gruff and toughness about him that he could pull off a Parallax or something along those lines. Like that's probably, to me, when I see Josh Brolin as that Hal Jordan, that's why I get the vibes that I do, is because I've seen him also play a villain. And it just feels like it's almost a toss-up for Hal Jordan as Parallax potentially. So I do think that that's where they're going. Maybe, look, we've seen countless Crisis on Infinite Earths storylines and stuff. I have really been wanting to see a 0 hour. And I think the idea of doing a 0 hour crossover and building up to that, of Hal Jordan being revealed as sort of the main villain out of all of this, I think would be pretty spectacular if they could pull it off. I mean, trust me, I get the pushback that some DC fans certainly might have. But this is where I say too, Stuart, and I've said this before, is that we all have fantasy castings. Like we all have people and ideas of how these characters should certainly be played and portrayed on screen. But just because that's how we personally would do it or have it certainly be cast doesn't mean that that's what the script asks for. So, the script may not ask for a younger Hal Jordan because of the fact that maybe, Hal's early experience doesn't allow him to get to that point of being Parallax that they need him to be. And so maybe they need a Hal Jordan that's a little bit further in his career, that's kind of seen some shit, you know what I mean? That has that potential of maybe tilting a little bit more to the darker side of things. So I think we all have to just take into consideration what the script could potentially be asking for and just kind of be open-minded in the direction that James Gunn certainly wants to take some of these characters. Because make no mistake, would I like to see a younger Hal Jordan in his prime as a Green Lantern? Absolutely. And I don't think that means we will never see that. Who's to say that this doesn't spark a spin-off series and they cast somebody younger for a Hal Jordan sort of Green Lantern series somewhere down the road? I mean, who's to say we don't get flashback sequences of a younger Hal Jordan certainly in his prime, right? So I do think that there is, when you're building such a big cinematic universe, I do think that there's other opportunities to eventually tell these stories of younger or older versions of these characters. But I'm going to let this one play out a little bit more, because while, again, Josh Brolin certainly isn't my first choice, when I'm getting Parallax vibes, there's a part of me that's kind of like, okay, I can kind of see it, even though it's not necessarily my first choice of the direction I certainly would have gone. I'm still going to let James Gunn cook, but I do think I haven't been disappointed with any of his casting choices so far. This might be the first questionable one, but it may not be questionable in like 2 years when we see like the direction that this show and cinematic universe is certainly going. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. It's like funny because you get people that are like just jumping to conclusions and saying automatically because it's not their fan cast that this is going to be a terrible casting, it's going to ruin it. I was trying to make sure that I'm like always trying to make sure when I say that it's not something that I personally see. It's like I'm not trying to say this is bad casting. It's just not something that I will like that I would have done. But again, we'll definitely have to wait and see how this all plays out because I'm sure they have a reason for it. And yeah, like I said, I'm still going with the parallax theory.
Yeah,
I think the one kind of, and I think I made this joke with you earlier, but the one like slight concern I have is that when you think about the dynamic that they're going for, like the younger, jokier Jon Stewart, and then the older, like more no nonsense Hal Jordan, the two of them are on Earth, and they basically have to protect people from evil aliens while making sure the aliens currently living on Earth are doing so in peace. What is that? What does that synopsis remind you of? That is literally the plot of Men in Black, and so
yeah.
so I hope it doesn't. So like the vibe I get from this is that it's like, oh man, it feels like they're going with Men in Black meets True Detective.
And did he play a younger Men in Black too, Josh Brolin?
Yeah, he played
Men in Black 3, right?
Yeah, he was the younger K in Men in Black 3.
Yeah.
Which he was perfect as, I gotta say. He was like the perfect young Tommy Lee Jones.
They as far as like playing opposite of Hal Jordan in here, the both of us have thrown out fantasy castings for who we would personally like our Jon Stewart to be. I've seen 2 new names kind of pop up in there outside of I haven't really seen anybody talk about John Boyega, which you fan cast, which I'm a huge fan of. I even suggested Aldous Hodge, who played Hawkman from Black Adam. But 2 actors that I think I've been seeing their names float around a little bit more. The guy that was just in Alien Romulus that played Andy, him as Jon Stewart, and then they have a brand new movie that just dropped, Rebel Ridge, with an actor by the name of Aaron Pierre. He was also in Krypton, if I'm not mistaken, the Krypton series on Sci-Fi. It says somebody I follow on Twitter says he plays a fantastic action hero that you're rooting for in Rebel Ridge. He's got the look, got the voice, only 30 years old. Perfect casting choice, possibly. Aaron Pierre, I haven't seen Rebel Ridge yet, but I do like Aaron Pierre's work from what I've seen from him in Krypton. I think that would be another interesting casting choice also. So we definitely have a couple of names for them to choose for young Black actors to play that rookie Jon Stewart at some point in time. But yeah, I would agree with you. I wasn't expecting the age gap to be as big as it was, though.
Mm-hmm. I figured a guy in his mid 30s and then someone else in there maybe late 20s. Like that's kind of like the or early 20s too. That's basically the gap that I expected. And again, just because I expected it doesn't mean that it had to be that way. So we shall see.
Yeah, we shall see. Again, it's really going to be dependent on whether or not Josh Brolin accepts this offer as Hal Jordan. I think he certainly will, but I don't know what the rest of his schedule is certainly looking like. But out of the short list that they have here, who would you certainly have as your first choice for Green Lantern? I still really do like that Chris Pine pick, man. But let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below.
You know what's funny is I cannot see Matthew McConaughey as Hal Jordan, but I could see him playing an amazing Sinestro. Like, I think he would actually be perfect for that role.
I do like that. I've even been seeing some Tom Cruise fantasy casting for Hal Jordan.
Now, you see, it's unlikely any comic book movie would want to cast him in a role because the main selling point of comic book movies is the toys. That's the main source of income that they get from them. And Tom Cruise makes it very clear in all of his contracts that like when he does a movie, no one's allowed to license toys or video games with his likeness on it. So you would have like actor accurate toys for all the other DC characters, but then when it came to Green Lantern, it would have to look completely different from him from himself, and it would just feel so out of place in the toy line.
Just like generic face number 3 for this Green Lantern toy. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to casting for Lanterns. I definitely expect more news here within the next couple of weeks, and along with some Supergirl casting announcements too by the end of the year. So we'll see how it turns out.
Dude, I hope that rumor of Jason Momoa as Lobo and Supergirl is real, because I think that's the perfect place to debut Lobo, and Jason Momoa is just so perfect for that role.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's see here. Sam, he says Glenn Powell should play Hal Jordan. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of Glenn Powell suggestions too.
Yeah,
I think that was one of our fan casting too early on. But
I think so too, because that's the one that I see like all over the internet that people really want to see.
Yeah, that and Chris Pratt. I've been seeing Chris Pratt too.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. From one DCU topic to another. Creature Commandos is back in the news here this week. As we get closer to December and the premiere of this animated series, James Gunn has taken some time out of his day to go ahead and talk about the upcoming series. He had the opportunity to sit down with Entertainment Weekly, who also have some first look exclusive images for us to certainly go ahead and tap into as well. We'll go through some of these images as we discuss this article, but this is from entertainmentweekly.com. James Gunn teases how Creature Commandos kicks off his new DC universe. It says, now that James Gunn has taken over DC Films alongside producer Peter Safran and is starting a new interconnected fictional universe, he wants to lean into the company's diversity and strangeness. That's why this new feature is kicking off with Creature Commandos, premiering December 5th, an adult animated series about misfit monsters. He says, the thing I've always loved about DC Comics was that you had your mainstream comics that always ran, but they also had those tonally different comics like Watchmen and The Dark Knight Returns and All-Star Superman. It was different from Marvel in that way. That's something that I really want to retain within the studio, that every project is going to bring a different vision by the artists who created it. And I kind of dig that idea, Stuart, right? I mean, I think a lot of people were kind of worried and concerned in the sense that, because it's James Gunn, running the DCU, every film is going to feel like a James Gunn movie. And I think he's in the process of trying to squash that as much as he possibly can. I mean, he is heavily involved in Creature Commandos. He is heavily involved in Superman. But make no mistake, things like Lanterns, Supergirl, right? They all have their own directors and their own writers. So they will certainly feel significantly different. So I am glad to see that James Gunn is still trying to emphasize that.
Yeah, definitely. And it makes a lot of sense too, because James Gunn, I mean, as anyone, as an artist and as a creator, no one wants to just have their work copied. So obviously, if you're the boss of something and you're basically trying to put together, a whole slate of films, you don't want just people just copying and pasting what you've already done. You want to see, you hire people so they can do what they do really well. So yeah, I think that's a smart move, and I think it's a really cool way to ease some of the concerns for people that may not be the biggest fan of the Marvel universe, because that's something you hear, is that they all feel the same. I don't necessarily agree with that statement, when it comes to Marvel, but I can kind of see where some arguments come from for certain movies, and I think this is James Gunn's way of saying that you will not have that problem at all with the DC universe. Everything is going to feel unique to the artists, to the directors and writers' vision, which I think is the smart and both in a business sense and in a creative sense stance. I think it's a smart decision.
He also goes on to say, I'm used to dealing with oddballs and irregular types and weirdos. That's what Guardians is, and Creature Commandos is kind of like Guardians without the sentimentality. The Guardians are really good characters at their heart, and that just isn't necessarily the case with the creatures. It says Creature Commandos will both feature Frankenstein and the Bride, but don't expect them to see them lumbering around and grunting. James Gunn says Mary Shelley's original novel Frankenstein was more of a touchstone in their characterization than the classic Universal horror films that starred Boris Karloff. He says part of the fun for me was taking some of the basics of Mary Shelley's story and bringing them into this story about the spurned relationship between the bride and Frankenstein. Frankenstein is this incredibly well-spoken intellectual, but it's still driven by his rage and his anger and his inability to really be a human being, and the inability for the one that he loves not loving him back. That's what drives him. I kind of like that synopsis. There's a sense of like a Dr. Hulk in there somewhere for a little bit.
I wonder.
Okay.
So does Dr. Frankenstein put his brain then in the monster, and that's why like James Gunn was calling him Frankenstein?
Maybe. It also says, but Creature Commandos is also full of less familiar faces like GI Robot. It says each episode of the series following the initial setup will delve into different characters' backstory and pathos. Well, that's interesting. It feels like maybe like a episodic focused, a focused episode on some of these characters individually. He says, what could be complicated about fighting a robot? Well, we're going to find out. He says there's an innocence to GI Robot that I didn't quite see until Sean stepped into the booth and started creating this character. His choices for GI Robot gave the character this sweet mechanic innocence. He's got this very sad history from World War III. The only time I think he felt at home was with the soldiers that he served with in DC's alternate history of World War II, where metahumans were involved. He also said, "Oh, go ahead."
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I love the fact that he's like really like expanding this universe and showing that, because he mentions this when he talks about like his upcoming Superman movie too, is that this is a complete fantasy world, completely separated from ours. And so the fact that they mention that this is an alternate World War II where metahumans actually fought alongside shows that this universe that we're being introduced to through this show has a completely different history from ours. And I'm really excited to see that play out. I look forward to like what kind of like Easter eggs we may get in these flashbacks, and I'm hoping, keep my fingers crossed for a JSA shout out. If like they get like just slightly referenced or something.
Yeah, a JSA shout out I think would be really perfect, to be quite honest with you. I would definitely be down for that. But I agree with you. I think the idea that we, again, I would assume that they will probably show us some flashback sequences of GI Robot, certainly in this World War II. So to kind of lay the groundwork of the past history and the lore that helped build up this DCU universe in this world, I think is going to be really special in this. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. He also says, he spoke to EW about Creature Commandos from the set of Peacemaker Season 2 and is also working on post-production for next year's Superman. He sees this series as the perfect appetizer for what's to come from DCU. That's exactly how we've been referring to it here, is the appetizer to the main course. He says Superman is the start of everything. It's a humongous epic. This is a way for people to just take a little nibble and see what it tastes like. There are a ton of fun references to other DC stuff, a bunch of hints for things that are coming. So I think it's just an extraordinarily fun way to start. And again, that drops December 5th on Max. And yes, we will be reviewing it for you guys here. But do you find this as promising as I do, Stuart? Like, what's your level of excitement for Creature Commandos at this point?
Obviously nowhere near the hype of Superman Legacy. But I am excited to see this, and yeah, like I love an appetizer, man. Give me some buffalo wings to get me some ready for that, amazing deep dish pizza. I'm excited. Maybe the buffalo wings are going to hint at something we might see on the pizza. Maybe they use a specific seasoning that you're like, ooh, I hope they put that on the pizza too. So we'll see. I look forward to it. I think it's so cool that they're starting it with an animated show with a squad that like we're barely that familiar with. But yeah.
I'm a fried pickles type of guy myself for an appetizer.
Fried
So
pickles
yeah,
are good.
I do love it for fried pickles. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think this is a really good way to kick off the DCU in a sense, explore the world a little bit. I do think the fact that each episode, as he mentions in here, may give us the opportunity to highlight each individual character. I am hoping that it's like a case of flashbacks with like something that happened in their past kind of now becoming more current that they kind of have to deal with. But I hope that if it is going to be like an episodic focus on the characters, that each individual story in some part kind of builds upon just this universe in general, right? Like whether just maybe one of there's characters focus on the more supernatural element of things, and so maybe we do get a cameo or a reference to other characters within the DC universe that we'll eventually get sort of introduced to, or see the beginning, the origins of sort of things. So I do think there's a lot of fun to certainly be had with Creature Commandos here. So yeah, hurry up December 5th because I'm really anticipating this show for sure.
Definitely.
But let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below.
I'm about to confess something kind of embarrassing to you and everyone watching. I am so hyped though for Superman Legacy. I've been having dreams about watching this movie.
Oh, have you really?
We haven't even gotten a trailer for it, and yet I'm having dreams about going into the movie and seeing it, and then waking up being like, damn it, I want to watch this movie now.
Man, I love the anticipation level, man. Having dreams about it. I love it, Stuart. When you dream about it, do you have any particular scenes that you see yourself watching on screen, or is it just that idea of like, it's out now, I got to go to the movies?
It's pretty much like when there's no intro, no like character introduction. It's just like when I go into it, it's just straight into the action, and I see Superman fighting Lex Luthor in his exoskeleton green suit, using a kryptonite spear, but then Superman dodging it, basically, using his eyesight from a distance on him. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Man, okay, so you got like the final act of this movie, or
yeah, that's what it is. I'm dreaming of the final act.
I love it, man. I love it. If it plays out that way, Stuart, we're gonna have to bookmark this segment here.
Turns out I'm psychic.
That's right. You had a vision, bro. That wasn't a dream; it was a vision. So we'll see how it turns out, man. But yeah, I'm glad you're pumped because I'm pumped too. But let us know your guys'.
If that happens, I'm going to try to contact James Gunn and be like, hey, James Gunn, do you want a psychic in the writing room?
But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And then from the DC, we're going to move to the MCU, ladies and gentlemen, as we got some new information coming to us for the upcoming Daredevil Born Again series. Stuart and I, several weeks back, we had the opportunity to do a live reaction to D23's Marvel, and it was a Disney's entertainment showcase where Marvel Studios and Marvel Television unleashed brand new looks at some of their upcoming Disney Plus series. And one of those was, in fact, Daredevil Born Again. And even though they didn't allow some of the images and videos that they showed at D23 to be released publicly, that same evening we did manage to actually find ourselves a leaked footage of the Daredevil Born Again trailer. And Stuart, I think one of the things that we took away from seeing that trailer for ourselves was Disney's not holding back. Mm-hmm. It was dark. It was tense. The action looked brutal. And it seems as though Disney is not shying away from what it did at Netflix. In fact, it looks like they may even be trying to push the boundaries a little bit more. But we had an article this week that came out from Entertainment Weekly again as well, where I believe one of the Marvel Television's heads, Brad Winderbaum, according to Entertainment Weekly, says Born Again will have some of the most brutal action Marvel has ever brought to the screen, Stuart. So some big words here for maybe some fans that have worried, because it's moved over to Disney, they're going to Disney-fy this series. I personally have not seen anything to reference that. If anything, I've seen the opposite, that they are really pushing forward. But let's see what Brad Winderbaum has to say. He says, speaking with Entertainment Weekly about how Marvel TV shows experiment with genre and tone, Brad Winderbaum, the head of streaming, television, and animation at Marvel Studios, teases the level of action to come when Charlie Cox suits up once again as the devil of Hell's Kitchen. He goes on to say in here, he says, I'll tell you, some of the most brutal action we've ever brought to the screen is coming in Daredevil Born Again, which isn't a horror show, but really it packs a lot of power and there's a lot of visceral action, to say the least. Winderbaum's comments come as part of the larger discussion about writing the rule book of horror within the MCU with Agatha all along. He says, I think it goes back to the filmmaker's intent. The horror on screen at Agatha is going to be different from the horror on screen in Marvel's Zombies. It's going to be different than the horror on screen in Blade. It was different from the horror on screen in Moon Knight. It really depends on the vision of the filmmaker on what horror cues you're pulling from. And it's not just and that's not just unique to horror. It's unique to any genre we're playing in. Obviously, there's many different ways to tell a story. So maybe not necessarily a horror genre when it comes to Daredevil, but maybe some pretty horrific graphic scenes, perhaps. So somebody getting stabbed, maybe an arm broken, maybe an arm chopped off, blood stained everywhere. I mean, who knows? It just definitely sounds like, Stuart, that they are certainly not pulling any punches. And I think there's probably some references from a past Disney Plus show, whether that be the MCU or another franchise that we can show that it's like, yeah, Disney's not holding back, guys. They really aren't when it comes to this. What do you think about some of his comments in here, though?
Yeah, I'm not surprised, just based on the behind the scenes images that we got, the fact that we've had announcements before that Marvel isn't going to shy away from doing R-rated movies when the story calls for it. And I think that if you're going to bring back Daredevil with Charlie Cox, you got to bring back that tone, you got to bring back that intense action that the Netflix series had, and now you're doing it with a Disney Plus budget. So if you're going to bring back that same kind of vibe, but you're giving it more money, of course it's going to look a lot more brutal on a Disney Plus TV series. So this is exciting, but not surprising. This is exactly kind of what I was really expecting from this upcoming Daredevil TV series. And then, of course, on top of all that, you and I both saw the same first look. The Punisher is going to be in this. You cannot have the Punisher in a show and then try to keep it PG-13. It wouldn't be the Punisher then.
Yeah, and I think what I love too is that the people attached to the projects, like Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, John Bernthal, they're just super protective of these characters in any way, shape, or form. And I just don't know if these actors would come back to a series or reprise their roles if they didn't personally feel like the show is certainly being done right. And I think that even holds true very much so, probably more for somebody like a John Bernthal. And I agree. I think the fact that the Punisher is even in this show in the first place, and they managed to convince John Bernthal to come back, he doesn't seem like he's the type that's just there to take a paycheck for this character. But if they are really going to allow him to ring true to who Frank Castle is, and the violence and the visceral aspects that he certainly brings to a show, I think John Bernthal's certainly back because they're going to really tap into that a little bit more. But yeah, we even got the opportunity to see the trailer for this. It looked brutal. It didn't look like they were holding back. I mean, you take Deadpool and Wolverine as a perfect example of them tapping into rated R elements, all the blood in that particular movie. I mean, we even have, you know where we watched the recent Alien films at, Stuart? On Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Disney Plus. So they while they certainly are known to be family oriented, they definitely are, I don't want to say changing course, but at least offering more options for like adults to certainly watch. And so I do think that they're really not afraid anymore. I think that they realize that they can be flexible in regards to providing different tones and different genres and really attacking series differently if they absolutely need to. And I think that's a point that Brad Winderbaum explains in here too, is the sense that while it may not necessarily be horror like something that you'll find in Agatha, each unique creator is going to bring their own vision to what the horror element certainly might be. And when it comes to something like Daredevil, it's going to be in its sort of brutal violence that we're certainly going to see. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to this, man. I have no restrictions or like no hesitation that Disney isn't going to treat this series the way that it's certainly meant to, because I think that they learned a very harsh lesson when they first started filming Daredevil Born Again and realized like this just is not working. Like, why are we trying to fix something that clearly is not broken? And I do think if you were a fan of what Netflix certainly did, I think you'll be an even bigger fan of what now that Marvel has sort of like all the weight and leadership behind actually owning Daredevil and putting it on their streaming service, right? Like, this isn't being produced by Netflix or any other sort of company. This is really like in the mouse's house now. Like, this is I can easily see Disney really wanting to put a better foot forward than what they did on something like the Netflix series. So I'm kind of looking forward to this a lot.
Same.
Marcelino says people are hoping that other MCU projects will get the same treatment. They even want the next Thor movie to be rated R. This is more a response to Love and Thunder and wanting Thor to become serious again. I don't think you need Thor to become more serious in a rated R film. Like, I think you can do this. You could do the same thing without it necessarily being a rated R film. So I don't think we need to go that extreme.
Yeah, I'm not against the idea of giving Thor like a more serious movie, but it doesn't need to be rated R. But
yeah, rated R just doesn't fit me really. Like, I just don't see it fitting the character.
Exactly.
Do you think people would have been more open-minded of Daredevil becoming more Disney-fied if they wanted to ignore the Netflix shows and recast everyone from scratch and told their own story?
I think people would have just been pissed for a very different reason if that was the case. But yeah, no, if Disney was doing their own Daredevil from scratch, I would not expect it to be R-rated at all. I think they would have gone for a PG-13, the same kind of like thing you would get from other MCU movies.
He says, or if the Netflix show never existed and Born Again was the first live action Daredevil appearance since Ben Affleck's Daredevil in this hypothetical scenario. Yeah, I think if there was no Netflix show, I think they could probably get away with it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But now that we have had a Netflix show that's been widely successful, I feel like it's kind of hard to go back now.
Yeah, because that show had a huge fan base. Like, you could do it, you could get away with it with any of the other Netflix Marvel shows, but not with Daredevil, because that one had the really big fan base and real passionate fan base too.
Yeah, I think if there was no Netflix show, they probably could have gotten away with it. But I think the fact that we did get, I don't know, it just felt like. It is one of those questions when he says, like, do you think people would have been more open-minded of a Daredevil? So this is like coming off of the Netflix Daredevil and saying, hey, we're going to do a completely new reboot of the series. We're going to recast and whatnot. Yeah, I would agree with you if I do if it wasn't people getting pissed about the idea of them Disneyfying a Daredevil, they probably would have gotten upset about something else in that regards. But I think the fact alone that we got the Netflix show really kind of ruined it for Marvel in the sense of doing anything different with the character kind of moving forward,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So yeah. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. What do you think about Daredevil having some of the most brutal action that Marvel Studios has certainly ever done? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below.
And is it cool if I step out for just 2 minutes? I'll
Yeah,
be right back.
yeah. I'll go ahead and tackle this other story. Go right ahead.
Cool.
So while Stuart is departing for a brief minute, let's go ahead and dive into our next topic here. As it seems we're going to be revisiting the world of Twilight, ladies and gentlemen. You guys are big Twilight heads. You guys certainly might appreciate this news, as it seems we're going to be getting Twilight, but in an animated form. If you're wondering why we decided to use this photo of all photos when it comes to Twilight, because we are going to be leaning into the animation realm. So let's go ahead and see how they're going to be bringing this exactly to us. This comes to us from Variety.com. According to them, it says Twilight animated series titled Midnight Suns lands at Netflix. So Netflix has tapped into another big franchise here. The animated series, based on Stephanie Meyer's Twilight novel, Midnight Sun, has given a straight-to-series order at Netflix, is what Variety has learned. The project was first reported to be in early development back in April of 2023. And they confirmed back in March of this year that it would be an animated series. Netflix is now developing the project. Midnight Sun was originally released as a novel in 2020. It serves as a retelling of the first Twilight book from the perspective of Edward Cullen rather than Bella Swan. It does say that Sinead Daly will serve as writer and executive producer on the series. They previously worked on Tell Me Lies, The Walking Dead World Beyond, and Raised by Wolves, along with The Get Down over on Netflix. There were originally 4 novels in the immensely popular Twilight series: Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, and Breaking Dawn. And then they released Midnight Sun in 2020. So, look, if anything, am I a Twilight fan? No, not by any stretch of the imagination here. Am I excited for this? I really probably could care less, to be quite frank with you. But I do think if there's anything that fascinates me about this, I do wonder if we're going to be getting back any actors to voice these characters. Specifically, I really want to know, hey, Robert Pattinson, I'm sure you're probably kind of busy, maybe getting back into shape for Batman. But I would be curious to know if he would come back to do a voice acting role here. What do you think, Stuart? You think any of these actors will come back, or do you think we're just going to get new voice actors for these?
I could see either of them coming back. Because to me, Robert Pattinson doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would go, "Oh, people made fun of me for this role. I'm never doing that again." He seems like, he doesn't really care too much what other people think of him. So I could, as long as it's like something that he would enjoy, like, and as long as it doesn't cut into his Batman schedule, I could totally see him coming back as Edward for this.
I will say I am fascinated in the project in the sense that this isn't just I think Netflix in this franchise could have gone in a couple of other directions. Like, I think of this as the Harry Potter television series, right? Wanting to retell the books, if you will, from just a television perspective, so they can get a little bit more into the details of maybe some of the things that they weren't able to adapt properly for the movies itself. um but I see the idea that they're going to be doing an animated series, not just from, hey, let's remake the very first um Twilight movie, but the fact that they're deciding to animate a brand new novel that is just sort of a different perspective from Twilight. I don't know. I think there's something smart about that choice, in the sense of like, hey, we're probably never going to do a big screen film for Midnight Sun. That's never going to make it to the big screen because we've kind of already told that story. How can we go about adapting this particular book? And I think the idea of animation is a really good way to go. One, because yes, while it is certainly a retelling of Twilight, the idea of it being from a different perspective, I think, will make it feel like a completely, I don't want to say completely different project, but a slightly different project.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Make it feel different, but also being able to visually make it feel very connected to the previous movies without having to worry about, aging the actors down. You can, because you'll just be drawing them anyways. And then also you don't even have to worry about whether or not they want to come back, because I'm sure like they probably really want all the actors to come back to reprise their roles, but it's not like they can't do the show without them. It's, again, it's animation, it's voice acting, so it's a lot easier to find new people who want to take up the mantle.
Marcelina says, what I find irritating is that people get upset over any new Twilight projects and act like it's as bad as murder. like I'm not a fan either, but touch some grass. It's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah, I don't mind. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of it, but I don't mind the idea that they're coming out with more Twilight content. And I do think, like, look, if it's the same writer that wrote this book, Midnight Sun, and you own this property, I would probably be trying to figure out, how can I adapt this to make more money off of it? And I just think the idea of them tapping into this as an animated series, I think really works in regards to keeping Twilight fresh. And I think animation these days, I almost feel like we're hearing a lot more animated series kind of being announced and stuff. I just think people are really grasping the concept of, like, we can do a lot more with animation. Like, this stuff just isn't for kids. Like, people of all ages certainly love this type of stuff, and so I think this is a really great decision on their part.
Yeah. Also, sorry, two Twilight related stories. So one, we recently like the last couple months played it at the Alamo Draft House, and
okay.
we were giving out like all sorts of, we give like little knickknack props for.
Was there a
each
reason, like an anniversary or something?
I'm not sure. It may have been an anniversary thing, or it actually might be just one of our annual, because we do marathons of popular franchises every year. So it may just have been an annual thing. But we had a weird thing that took us forever to figure out what it meant, because there was a prop that was literally labeled tit sack, and we're like, what the heck does that even mean? TITSAK. I'm like, what? So we're just like making jokes about this back and forth, and then finally someone who's like actually like a Twilight expert, she was supposed to be the one announcing the film, she's like, oh, it stands for "this is the body of a killer."
Tit sack. Like, guys, you guys gotta come with better acronyms, man.
Yeah. The other thing too was that same time, so like later, that first premiere sold out obviously, but then later that week we had another showing for it, which had like no one in it. So me and a bunch of coworkers decided to go watch it together as a joke. I tried watching it, thinking, okay, I am an adult now, which means I am more mature than I was when I first watched this movie. So I'm sure I will be a lot more open-minded about the whole thing and come out with a whole new perspective of the franchise. No, it was, oh my gosh. I just like, me and everyone were just like cringing and laughing the entire time. It's like, it's so hard to take anything in this movie seriously. It's like every line Edward delivers, it's like it looks like he's just about to freaking like orgasm in his pants just from talking to a girl. It is so cringe and hard to watch. I mean, it's like, I'm glad this franchise has this fan base, but wow, I now remember why it never clicked with me when I was a kid, and as an adult I can still say, yeah, this movie is really bad.
Yeah, I think my girlfriend just did a recent rewatch, like if not earlier this year, sometime last year. I still have not watched, and well, I've watched the first one, which I didn't mind. I didn't mind the first one so much, but I think I maybe watched a little bit of the second one, but I didn't watch anything after that. Like, yeah, so I've definitely not my cup of tea. But
That
hey,
said, the
to each
baseball
their
scene was
own.
cool though.
To each their own.
To each their own. And the baseball scene, I will defend. That was actually pretty cool.
Let's see here. Sam, what's up, Sam? He says, I would like to see another 2 films to animated series, Beautiful Creatures and The Immortal
The Immortal
Instruments.
Instruments.
Didn't they make that a movie recently, like a Peter Jackson produced movie, The Mortal
Peter
Instruments?
Jackson. I didn't know that, but I do remember there was a movie, and they wanted it to be a full franchise, but it just didn't sell what they were hoping for.
I might be thinking of something else. Yeah, I might be thinking something.
Instruments.
Oh, I'm thinking Mortal. I'm thinking Mortal Engines, not Mortal Instruments. I'm sorry. I'm thinking the movie Mortal Engines from 2018.
That's right.
I'm thinking of a different film.
But yeah, I think I remember like the movie didn't do as good as they expected, so they were kind of like Divergent. They wanted to continue it in the form of a TV show, but then that also ended up not working out in their favor. But I could see it working as an animated series.
Yeah, definitely a possibility.
Came out during that time where YA novels were like huge for big screen adaptations.
Yeah, they tried to do everything, man. Aragon, I believe, the Dragon trilogy of books or something like that. That didn't work out so well for them. There were a couple other YA books I remember them trying to bring to the big screen. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Twilight animated series lands at Netflix. They're going to be doing an adaptation for the Midnight Suns Stephanie Meyer's book. Let us know your levels of excitement in the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, Stuart, we will move on to our final topic of the day before we get into some live viewer questions. And we are going to revisit the world of Masters of the Universe, baby, as we've got the upcoming Travis Knight directed He-Man and the Masters of the Universe film over with Mattel. Stuart, this movie is happening, bro. This movie is happening. I know Masters in the Universe has sort of been in developmental hell for years over at Mattel, bringing on actors, dropping actors, bringing on directors and writers, dropping directors and writers. I mean, it's just been a carousel, to certainly say the least. But it seems as though Mattel has finally landed on somebody with a vision for this movie. And this comes from Travis Knight's Bumblebee. He worked over from Bumblebee, and he is now attached to Masters of the Universe. And over the past several weeks, Stuart, we have been getting some casting announcements that are finally coming out. I want to say we've already had our He-Man announced. Who do we have recently? Tila. I think it was Camille or Camila Mendez is going to be playing Tila. Well, we also have a brand new casting announcement here this week as well. As it looks as though Alison Brie has officially been tapped to play none other than Evil-Lyn. This comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter, who's got this news for us. But this is coming together, Stuart. This is coming together. Let me go ahead and read this. This is Hollywood Reporter, Masters of the Universe. Alison Brie nabs key villain role of Evil-Lyn in Amazon's He-Man movie. This is an exclusive article from them. It says Alison Brie has nabbed the key villain role. The actress, currently seen on Peacock's thriller limited series Apples Never Fall, joins Nicholas Galitzine from The Idea of You and Camila Mendez in the adaptation of the popular toy brand first introduced in the 80s. It says in the director's chairs, the founder of stop motion powerhouse Leica, Travis Knight. He also helmed the company's Kubo and the Two Strings. Masters of the Universe has been in development for around 2 decades, but now finally seems to be approaching the start of production. It does say plot details are being kept in the box. Evil-Lyn is Skeletor's second in command and uses a wand with a crystal orb to practice the dark arts. Meg Foster portrayed the character in the 1987 live-action movie. The casting in a big budget IP fantasy is a change of pace for Brie, who is known for her comedy and dramatic work in rom-coms and on television. She earned notice in her roles on Netflix's series Glow, along with the cult comedy Community and AMC's Mad Men. So she will, in fact, be playing Evil-Lyn in the show itself. Stuart, if there's anything that jumps out at me, and I am kind of curious about this. It does say in here, and even in the article, Nab's key villain role of Evil-Lyn. And it does say here again also, Nab, the key villain role of Evil-Lyn. It mentions the fact that she's the second in command to that of Skeletor. So I am curious as to whether or not, when it says key villain role, does that mean she's going to be? Is that the same as the main villain? Like, will there be a Skeletor casting in here? Is Skeletor not in this film, or can she still technically be referred to as a key villain? If she's sort of still a second in command and working opposite of somebody like Skeletor. So I am kind of curious. I would have thought that Skeletor probably would have been one of the, I don't want to say first announced after He-Man, but the fact that we've gotten Teela along with Evil-Lyn referenced in cast announcements so far, I am kind of curious as to where Skeletor certainly is in all of this. So yeah, I'm kind of up in the air as to whether or not this means that she's going to be the main villain or if we're going to have somebody else here. But regardless, I love Evil-Lyn as a character. And so I think she had a significant role in the animated series too, with Kevin Smith, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe they are giving her a bigger role to certainly play here. Regardless if she's the main villain or not, Stuart, I just want to see this movie.
Yes.
I'm just really thrilled and anxious that casting is actually happening. It feels like we're moving ever so closely to actually being in front of the films and certainly in front of the camera and actually making this work. And I can't wait to see what Travis Knight's vision for this world is going to look like. But I've been a big fan of the casting choices so far, and I think Alison's going to do a remarkable job here as Evil-Lyn. But let me throw this to you, Stuart. How do you feel about it when they say something like key role or key villain role? Are you under the assumption that she is going to be the main villain in here, or play like a dual threat, her alongside somebody like Skeletor?
I don't think it means main villain. I just think it's going to be an important role in the movie. I think key doesn't mean main, but it just means very important. Because I hear that term being used not necessarily for villains, but I hear it being used for big characters that are in movies that aren't necessarily the main characters. So yeah, no, I think it would be I would get why, because they want to set up more movies, but I think it would be smart if you're doing the first He-Man movie that we've seen in since the 80s. It would be smart to include Skeletor as well. So I don't think she'll be the main villain. As for the casting, though, wow, I'm excited to see how she does here, because I haven't seen too many roles that she's been in. Because I definitely, in fact, I actually think I might have seen more voice acting roles than anything. Because I vaguely remember her as being kind of that annoying reporter in Scream 4. But other than that, the big thing I know her for is Community. And in that show, she's super adorable. And it's so hard for me to picture her playing a villain. So it'd be like if they announced that Grant Gustin was going to be playing Darkseid. It's like, really? Can he pull that off? Can he pull off menacing? And that's how I feel with her. Can she be menacing as Evil-Lyn? And maybe she can. It's just, I'm excited to see how she does, because again, having seen my experience with her is very limited. It's more animated shows, and then of course Community, which I absolutely love her in. But I've never seen her take on a role like as a villain, so it'll be interesting. I'm excited.
That when you bring up her being able to pull off this role, I don't know why my mind went to something like Elizabeth Banks as Rita Repulsa. And
yes.
I kind of liked her in that. Like, I wasn't sure how Elizabeth Banks was gonna pull it off, but I kind of liked what they did with Rita in that film. And so I kind of feel the same way here with Alison Brie, like in the sense of like, I don't know if I was able to picture Elizabeth Banks as Rita at first, but I do think that once she's in costume and she's being like, I think she's gonna give us a pretty cool performance.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I don't want to say that she's not going to be able to nail it, because I don't know. I just haven't seen her do villain roles before, so it's just, yeah, I haven't seen it, so I don't know. And I think if anything, that just gets me really excited, even more so, because I just don't know. Oh, hang on. Grant.
Go ahead.
This one. Grant Gustin was pretty good at playing an evil version of himself, and I believe he could play a great. He could play evil great. I think he should try more acting jobs to spread his range. And I do agree with the second part of that. I was not the biggest fan personally of when he played like the evil version of himself. Teach their own, but to me, I didn't think it was so hard for me to take him seriously as a villain.
Nathan Moore says, I hope this doesn't cause outrage. I can hear it now. I'm hoping it doesn't. I mean, it's not like we're gender swapping Evil-Lyn out or anything like that. So I don't know if you just mean the idea of them making a Masters of the Universe live action movie or what, but I don't think there's going to be any outrage from this particular casting. I really enjoyed the Camila Mendes as Tila casting. So we'll see. I think Alison certainly might surprise some of us. Stuart, you brought up the idea of key villain doesn't necessarily mean main villain, and I agree with you. I do think that there certainly is going to be a Skeletor in this movie, but I do think the announcement of casting is interesting in the sense of Tila and Evil-Lyn, because didn't Tila and Evil-Lyn have a storyline in the animated series? Like, wasn't that connected in some capacity? So
yeah,
I do think that I do think we're going to have a big four in this movie instead of just a big two. Like, instead of it just being He-Man and Skeletor, I do think that there's going to be an undercurrent of like another sub story there between Tila and Evil-Lyn. And so I am wondering if that's why they're making these announcements and picking the actors that they are, because of who they're going to be playing might have quite a significant role in here. So I do think we might get two stories here for He-Man and Tila.
I agree. And then the other thing too, the reason I don't think they've announced the cast for Skeletor yet, I think they're going to try to get someone really big to play the actor. My money would be on Willem Dafoe. I think he would be perfect as Skeletor. But yeah, my assumption is they're trying to get someone big to play Skeletor, and because of that, it's going to take a little bit longer for them to come to an agreement. Because
there's a part of me that thinks they already have the casting. I have a feeling that they already know who they are, and these casting announcements are just leaking out slowly or being released slowly. But I have a feeling that they already know who it's going to be. I am. Let me see. Masters of the Universe production start. I'm trying to see if they've already let us know. It says, oh, that can't be right. It says production set to begin June 5th of 2026. Ain't no way.
What? I don't want to wait that long. No.
It's a 2026 release.
Release. Okay, I'm cool.
But the article I just saw said it was going to be production was June something in 2026. I'm like, no way, ain't no way. That's definitely wrong. So I don't know. It doesn't have a. I don't see a production start date. But I'm kind of hoping that it starts here by the beginning of the year at least, or by at least by the beginning of 2025. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. What do you think it means for Masters of the Universe with Alison Brie being cast as Evil-Lyn? Do you think Evil-Lyn's going to have a significantly big role in this? Do you have any fantasy casting as to who you personally would like to see cast as Skeletor? And what do you think Alison Brie will certainly bring to the role? Let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below.
Curse you, He-Man! You found my one weakness. Dying.
But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. But yeah, I'm just pumped that this movie is happening, bro. Like I really am. I've been waiting. I've been needing a Masters of the Universe in my life. I'm tired of watching the 1980s version over and over again. But with that out of the way, guys, I think you know what time it is.
Now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions.
And we're going to get into some live viewer questions for you guys today. Let me get some of this music a little bit. And while we do that, we'll step up for us. All right. Should be able to hear me here relatively soon.
And perfect.
There we go. If the music is too loud, please go ahead and certainly let us know in the comments. We can turn the music down if we need to. But look, if you ever want to submit a live viewer question, just simply go over to our YouTube channel as such. Scroll down to our community tab, and voila. You will see a live viewer question usually posted on Saturday for you guys, usually in the afternoon or evenings. But let's go ahead and sort these out and see what some of the comments and questions you guys certainly might have. Stuart, why didn't you like Men in Black International? Don't tell me it's bad. Give me specific details, because I saw it and I thought it was fun, and I would argue it's kind of underrated. This is from Marcelino.
It has been a minute since I've seen it, because I saw it once when it came out in theaters, and I have not seen it since then. So I will do my best on memory of why I was not the biggest fan. But basically, I think what it was is that I just didn't connect with either of the two main leads in the movie character-wise. I just didn't think there was anything that interesting about either of them. They both felt very kind of cliche and generic. The other thing was that the plot was incredibly predictable. I could tell from the trailer that, I wonder if Liam Neeson is going to be the bad guy. Oh, he was the bad guy. Who would have saw that coming? And then on top of all that, I just didn't think the banter or any of the jokes were really funny. I just I chuckled a couple times here and there, but I just never really laughed out loud like I did with the original Men in Black trilogy. And I think that Men in Black, the original trilogy, had a great mixture of just humor and actually like a lot of heart that actually would, some very heartwarming stuff here and there and some very sad stuff here and there. I never got emotional watching this movie either. I just, I left it feeling absolutely nothing at the very end of the day.
Yeah, I still have not watched it myself, so a little bit bummed about that. I did want to see it at the time when I saw it on when I saw the trailers for it, but yeah, I just never watched it myself.
My thoughts when watching the trailer were, see, this is what the 2016 Ghostbusters movie should have done. And then my thoughts after watching the movie is, you know what? Maybe the 2016 Ghostbusters movie wasn't so bad.
He also says, how come Supergirl never utilized the concept of doppelgangers outside of the crossover? I personally wasn't expecting anything like an alternate version of Sarah that would be around for an entire season, but they could have brought in countless Arrowverse characters or even one-off guest stars to play alternate versions of themselves for one episode. I thought Supergirl would introduce their version of Amanda Waller by either being the head of Argus or being the president.
I think it just has to go with CW producers thinking that we as audiences are too dumb. So even though they've already, given us the concept of doppelgangers and everything like that, introducing those same doppelgangers into a Supergirl episode that isn't like connected to a crossover would lead audience. Again, I'm thinking through the perspective of executives, not that I myself think this, but I think they would just think that audiences would be dumb enough to think that means Supergirl is connected to the Arrowverse shows, like directly, like in the same universe. That would be my personal guess.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, Marcelino. I don't necessarily know if I ever really cared for the concept of them doing doppelgangers in Supergirl, so I don't know.
Also, I said that as a joke. I actually didn't hate the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. I just thought it was okay.
I would have liked to have seen the Amanda Waller, though. I am a little bit bummed that we never got to see her as a part of Argus. I do wonder if that was the case of like, hey, we're making these Suicide Squad movies, so you can't use her as a character. I wonder if that's why.
That's exactly why they had to kill not only her off, but the entire Suicide Squad off. That's why, Deadshot, Amanda Waller, several other characters died in the same episode because DC suddenly decided in the middle of their production, oh, by the way, you can't use these guys anymore. We're making a movie, which, oh my gosh, that still bothers me to this day. It's like, no wonder Arrow Season 3 had issues. It's because, when they were in the middle of making the show, they were told they couldn't do the show that they were in the middle of making of.
He also asks, where'd it go? You guys have praised Nicolas Cage as a terrific actor, but why though? Throughout the 2000s, Nick was the butt of jokes in terms of being an actor. It was cool to hate on him. People have said and still say he's annoying and over the top. He's if The Rock was unlikable. He's a terrible actor. He's as unlikable as Aquafina. He is a deal breaker for many people. For example, when it was announced he would return as Spider-Man Noir, many people reacted saying, why not hire a competent and real actor? Why aren't you guys aboard the Nicolas Cage hate train that many people still are? I mean, I didn't even know there was a Nicolas Cage hate train. I'm like, what? People hate Nicolas Cage? I think he's an incredible actor.
Yeah. I knew that people didn't like his movies, but I just assumed that's because he does bad movies.
I mean, look, to be fair, I think this is what I think has happened, Stuart. I think people have forgotten the great movies that Nicolas Cage has done in his career before his life kind of spiraled, if you will. Right? Like, I think the last good movie Nicolas Cage probably did was Lord of War back in 2005. And I think after that, I think he got into like a ton of legal problems, or he didn't have like any money left or something like that. And Nicolas Cage sort of had to rebuild up his career. And he just had to make money, I think, in order to pay off a ton of things. And so it really became a situation for Nicolas Cage where he just had to take movies. Like the guy literally could not be picky about the projects that he had to take. And so I think because he spent so much of his time after like 2005 of trying to take all these really poor and terrible movies, I think now a current generation takes him as a really bad actor because of some of the movies that he's found himself sort of attached to. And I think he really didn't come back into prominence until The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent came out in 2022. And now Nicolas Cage is kind of back in back in pop culture. I mean, National Treasure, Face Off, Con Air, Gone in 60 Seconds. Like, what are we? The Rock? I mean, Leaving Las Vegas. I don't know about City of Angels so much, but The Family Man, if you guys have ever seen The Family Man, Moonstruck. I mean, look, the list goes. Yeah, Kick Ass, and I'm sure I'm missing a couple of other ones too. But this guy was, when it comes to like late 90s, very early 2000s, Nicolas Cage just couldn't miss. And I think he's a terrific actor. Some people, could he be a little bit over the top? Maybe, depending on who his character is. But I think that's what makes Nicolas Cage so great. Is like I've seen this man have such a wide range of stuff that he does. That I think he could do anything that you ask him to. And he was just in Long Legs too, if I'm not mistaken, which I think is being received rather well. I don't know what kind of role he had in Long Legs. I still want to see him in that. But I think the hate train comes from the idea of Nicolas Cage having to rebuild up his financial status and get his name back in Hollywood, in the sense of taking just a ton of terrible movies. And I think in that regards, he's kind of been one of those forgotten actors. But I do think he's about to hit his prime, a second prime, if you will, since coming back to prominence in 2022. But yeah, man, I don't get the hate train. I don't know if it's coming from just younger generation of moviegoers that aren't experienced in seeing a lot of the older Nicolas Cage stuff. But yeah, man, he's a great actor. He's one of our greats when it comes to acting, honestly. At least that's how I feel. How do you feel about it though, Stuart?
Oh no, I fully agree. I think he does like a lot of great he loves to be over the top, and I think he does a great job when he does it. There are times though, given certain roles, where he'll do that and it may not fit the character that he's playing, but it happens nowhere near as often as people like to pretend that it does. I also think the guy has a thing about wanting to be burned alive, because holy crap, I can name like several films where he always like ends getting burned alive. I'm just like, does this guy like have a weird kink or something? I absolutely I'll watch Nicolas Cage in anything that he's in. I mean, well, as long as the movie itself looks good.
Yeah. So don't be, from 2005 on to 2022, I try and forget that block of Nicolas Cage movies, to be quite frank with you. But I would probably even say that maybe despite even some of those movies being bad, I wouldn't be surprised if Nicolas Cage still gives a great performance in those movies, But I do think he's just really looked down upon because of a really bad stretch of movies he's had. But yeah, man, I think he's a great actor for sure. So I can't get on board that.
Willy's Wonderland is a terrible movie, but whenever he's on screen, whenever it's just Nicolas Cage, I'm like into it. Even when he's just cleaning, Nicolas Cage makes cleaning look cool. How do you do that as an actor?
And also, I'm not really one to get on a lot of hate trains personally. I'm not a hater like that. But to each their own. Everybody's gonna have their opinion on who they feel is great actors or not. But I do think Nicolas Cage is one of the greats for sure.
Some people hate Nicolas Cage. Some people like me hate Mark Wahlberg. We can't all hate the same person.
Peg C, what's up, Peg C? How would you adapt Power Rangers Ninja Turtle crossover from the comics and animated form?
Ooh, I would have so much fun trying to come up with some creative action set pieces if it was animated. But one thing I would do, I would give the turtles their own Zord, and I would have it the heart of the Zord. Like, I don't know if I would have it itself transform or if I would have pieces attach itself to it, but the turtle van that they always drive around in, I would have that be the heart of the Zord at the very least.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've had 2 crossovers, right, for Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles. I don't know how I would adapt it, but I probably would do season by season. So, like, the first crossover would be its own individual season, and then the second one would be the second season. If we ever get a third one, if we have, I don't even know if we've gotten a third one or not. Boom, give me a third season. But I don't know. I think they can have some fun with it, going from a comic book to animated form. I don't know if there would be too much that you would have to change when it comes to adaptation wise, but I'm sure they would figure it out.
The other thing too is that I would use both Rita and Zed for the Power Rangers, and then for the Turtles, I would use both Shredder and Krang.
Well, oh yeah, I like that. What was your first action figure you ever bought yourself or parents got you as a kid? I don't know the exact figure that it was, but I could probably almost guarantee it was a GI Joe action figure. I was huge into GI Joe action figures back in the day. I was always a sucker for articulation. And so when it comes to GI Joe action figures, I mean, they had it everywhere, from like the ankle to the knee to the hip joints to the shoulders, the elbows. I mean, it was. I used to really like to also have my action figures wrestle with each other because I was a big wrestling fan. And so GI Joe's and the articulation just offered that to me all the time. So if it wasn't a GI Joe figure, it might have been like a WWF like big lumbering like plastic figure that was like the rubber plastic figures that probably weighed like a good 10-15 pounds. It was like bust somebody against the head with it if you wanted to cause some major injury. I mean, it was, they could kind of bend but no articulation, if you will. So those probably might have been like some of the two groups of action figures I remember having at my youngest, honestly. What about you, Stu?
The one of the earliest ones I have is this figure of Goku on a Capsule Corp vehicle. I always thought it was kind of funny because his hair is like spiked like a Super Saiyan, but it's black, so it's like not actually in like Super Saiyan mode. The other thing too is that I've seen Goku drive. I would not want him riding on a vehicle like this through the sky. Yeah, I think I'm sure it's not the first. I probably have gotten some way before that, but that is definitely the oldest one that I still have.
Nice.
Question with the GI Joe though, was it like the 6-inch figures or was it like the big 12-inch ones? Like
no, it was 6-inch ones.
Oh, nice. Because like I used to as a kid, my brother used to collect the 12-inch GI Joe figures and gave them to me at some point when I was like 10. And oh my gosh, I used to love that exact same thing, full articulation. And then in some cases, you could actually move each of the fingers individually.
Oh wow, that's cool.
And I think because of how big they were, because of their size, that's where the whole like argument came in of they're not dolls, they're action figures.
Yeah, because the 12 inches ones. Yeah. No, I always got the 6-inch ones. I always loved like the little accessories that they came with, the cool helmets or the cool packs that they kind of came with. So yeah, I used to have a lot of GI Joe figures back in the day.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Did you ever watch Bambi or Fox and the Hound? And what were your initial thoughts? I don't know if I've ever seen Fox and the Hound. I have seen Bambi several times. It was probably a pretty slow burn for me. I don't know if I was like riveted or not, even as a kid, but I was a fan of it. I think coming out of Bambi, somehow my favorite character ended up being Thumper the rabbit. But yeah, I enjoy it, but it's not one that I'm like I gotta run back and watch. But yeah, I do remember enjoying it.
Yeah, same here. I think Fox and the Hound made me cry as a kid, if I'm not mistaken. But both of those movies I don't think I've seen since like elementary school.
Yeah, it's been a minute, man, since I've seen it. Yeah, it's not one that I really go back and visit too much. Let's see here. He also says, what's your favorite Megazord combinations? The Dragon Zord in battle mode, the Mega Tiger Zord, the Ninja Zord, or the Shogun Megazord?
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna give it to the original Megazord, but when he first attaches itself with the Dragon Zord, because I don't know, to me that was kind of mind-blowing, because it was like the Dragon Zord to me has never just been like a Zord, it's always been like a Megazord, since it actually went toe-to-toe with the Megazord. So seeing the two of them combined, it was like seeing what would happen if you actually combined two Megazords. Like that was such a oh my gosh kind of moment for me.
I'm just trying to go through some of these again and see how I like them. I'm probably gonna go the dragon, the Dragon Zord in battle mode. Ninja Zord is a pretty close second, just because I was a big fan of the creatures themselves, like the aliens, the animals they decided to use. The Shogun one was always a little bit chunky and blocky for me. So yeah, I probably would go Dragon Zord in battle mode first. Then the Ninja Zord, then the Mega Tiger Zord, and then the Shogun Mega Zord in that order. But yeah, the Dragon Zord in battle mode would be my favorite. Something about the big crest and shield that it had, like the dragon emblem shield on its chest, I thought was pretty cool. And then didn't it have like a big drill spear or something like that, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, because it was from their tail, like, and then it would be, added as a spear.
Yeah, I was always a big fan of. I always thought that was pretty cool weapon. So yeah, give me that as my favorite. Jessica Friedman, why did you think the CW kept canceling all their good-spirited shows like Superman and Lois, Batwoman, Legends of Tomorrow, Walker, and keep their past their prime shows like The Flash and Riverdale, and has production started going? Oh, so I guess, why do you think that they canceled all their good-spirited shows but kept shows past their prime like Flash and Riverdale?
Oh, because the CW that we have now is very different from the CW we had when those shows were going on. I think the problem is when Batwoman got canceled, same with Legends of Tomorrow and Superman and Lois. They got canceled at around the time that the CW was going under, and they were about to sell the channel, and then it got bought by I can't remember the name of the company that bought the CW, but regardless, ever since then, they've been trying to slowly get rid of all their scripted television and kind of replace it with reruns of other scripted shows or game shows, basically. The only thing you're going to see new episodes of, excuse me, on the CW after Superman and Lois is going to be basically game shows. When it comes to scripted television, you're not going to see any new scripted television on the CW like in the next couple of years. That's like they're done with that. Now they're trying to actually go for profit. And the thing about cable network shows is that they don't really scripted cable network shows don't really bring in profit. Commercials do, and because less and less people are watching TV every year, less and less people are seeing the commercials. Therefore, channels are losing more and more money every year. So that's kind of like the abridged version of why all those shows are unfortunately getting canceled now. I guarantee you, if Batwoman and Superman and Lois had come out like 2 or 3 years earlier, they would have kept going. But unfortunately, they came out now. And as for production of season 5, I'm not sure, but I do know that James Gunn really enjoys Harley Quinn, so I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that he has no intent on canceling it anytime soon.
Yeah, I think we just actually got an announcement for Harley Quinn season 5 a few weeks ago. They did go ahead and actually make an announcement that season 5 is dropping this year. So it's far into production, if not ready to go already. I'm looking at a Screen Rant article from July 27th. First look at Harley Quinn season 5 was revealed at San Diego Comic-Con. I think we threw up a quick poster in honorable mentions when we highlighted it, but it is set for a November release this year. So season 5 is already in production, probably already wrapped, and ready to go for a November release. So season 5 will be here this year. Blossom, what's up, Blossom? Ever curious about what happened to the Beetleborgs since they never finished their series?
If you mean curious as to why they finished their series, that would be because the stock footage they wanted that they were using for Metal Heroes, the show completely took a 180 in the next season and went for a much younger audience, and I mean like kind of toddler level audience. So it was just a very different show, and they couldn't have finished it with the stock footage. As for like what happened with the Beetleborgs after the show ended, who knows? Maybe a future Power Ranger comic can tackle that.
Blossom, wouldn't it be funny if Toei made villains inspired by Mr. Burns as well as Smithers? I actually would kind of dig that.
Oh,
We don't have any human villains like that in Super Sentai, huh?
I don't think so. Not that I could think of, but man, I'm just like imagining like anytime a planet's like slightly coming together, the Burns inspired one being like, "Excellent, Smithers. The Power Rangers will die, Smithers. Release the hounds, Smithers."
I would actually love that.
Instead of, oh my gosh, yeah, the hounds, instead of being like actual hounds, they would be the foot soldiers of the seasons.
Yes. Who we got next? Power of the Morphing Grid. I believe this is AJ. The impact of Robot Rangers. He says, we all know that in the episode of the Robot Ranger of the second half of Power Rangers Turbo, we learned that Demetria and Alpha 6 created robotic duplicates of the Turbo Rangers as an emergency backup plan if the real Rangers were ever captured and defeated. They were first put to the test when everyone made Justin believe he was going crazy, thinking all his friends were being replaced by robots, though the big twist of the episode was that Justin himself was actually the robot Justin the entire time, just with his memory circuits disabled. To this day, the Robot Rangers were a brilliant addition to the Power Ranger franchise, offering a unique solution to preserving the turbo powers and expanding the universe's protection. By creating duplicates of the Turbo Rangers, Demetria ensured that the Turbo Rangers would remain intact through the morphing grid, even if the original powers were ever compromised. Since the real Turbo Rangers were later destroyed during the destruction of the power chamber by Divatox, we know that Justin had already returned as the Blue Ranger in True Blue to the rescue, and TJ as the Red Ranger in Forever Red. By being connected to their former vehicles, Storm Blaster and Lightning Cruiser, which are still alive and functioning. The Robot Rangers' journey into space to go help Zordon on his home planet of Eltar allowed them to become universal protectors, safeguarding against new threats while other villains targeted Earth. This move also opened up possibilities of exciting space-based adventures and encounters with alien species. The Robot Rangers' brief return in Super Megaforce Legendary Battle was a nice reminder of their existence, especially with the high possibility that Justin returned to action as the Blue Turbo Ranger, despite already having a robot clone who most likely stayed as a kid compared to the real Justin, who by now is an adult. This highlighted the flexibility of the Robot Rangers, allowing them to adapt and eventually reunite with their human counterparts. This also meant years later in Cosmic Fury, seeing Lord Zed take control of Zordon's home planet of Eltar, and Cosmic Fury added another layer to the story. And it's interesting to know that the Turbo Rangers face challenges like not being indestructible and being taken captive by Lord Zed off screen. This showed that even with the Robot Rangers' existence, the universe still faces threats, and the Power Rangers as a whole must continue to adapt and defend against evil. I forgot all about the Robot Rangers, to be quite frank with you. Let's see here. Sam, what's up, Sam? Sam says, hey guys, hope you're okay. What do you think about the Wolfman teaser trailer for next year's 2025? Did you get a chance to see the teaser trailer, Stuart?
I did not, but I will definitely be checking it out after the show because, I think I mentioned it to you. I've actually been going down a big rabbit hole of rewatching all the Universal Monster movies. So
have you?
This is perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's maybe we should watch it real quick here. Why not? Let's watch this trailer for Wolfman briefly. It's only a little bit of a teaser trailer, but in the meantime, let me also...
You know what this movie needs, though? Something I actually haven't seen in a werewolf movie in a long time. I need an epic transformation sequence, one that grosses me out, one that is like actually scary. Because, CG just doesn't scare me with transformation scenes. But you know what did scare me? That transformation scene from American Werewolf in London. It looked horrifying. The actor genuinely looked like he was in pain. I want something like that. I want the transformation to look like it is just an awful, awful experience.
I thought there was a Netflix series years ago that had people talking about a werewolf transformation. Netflix werewolf transformation. Let me see. What show was that called? The Order? Is that what it was called? The Order?
Is that based on a video game?
I don't remember. Oh, Hemlock Grove.
Ah.
That's what it was. It was a series called Hemlock Grove. They had a pretty gnarly werewolf scene. I don't remember what year that was in. 2019, maybe. Um, maybe a little bit older than that. But if you get a chance to check out Hemlock Grove's wolf transformation, I thought that was pretty gnarly. One transformation I found pretty gnarly too was, as a kid at least, that freaked me out, was the Michael Jackson Thriller.
Oh yeah.
When he turns into a werewolf, that scared the shit out of me as a kid, man. The prosthetics and everything was pretty cool for the time period. But this is go ahead.
I always thought it was funny that like Thriller technically wasn't allowed to be classified as a music video for a while. It had to be labeled as a short film because it was too long.
Too long. Yeah. It's still one I watch every year though. I watch it every year.
Used to okay, so we had last thing we play, but when I was living in Marin, there was like a cow skating ring that we used to go to all the time, and every night that would be the song that they would end it on.
Ooh, that's perfect. This is the Wolfman teaser trailer from the director of The Invisible Man, if that says anything. So here we go.
What was that thing, Blake?
It sounded like an animal. But I swear to God, it was standing on 2 feet.
Daddy, are we gonna die?
No, it's my job to protect you.
What's wrong with Daddy?
He got sick.
Blake, Daddy's scaring me! Blake, stop! Daddy, is that you?
So 2 things, Stuart.
Mm-hmm.
One, the release date of January 17th definitely has me worried.
Yeah, I was thinking that exact thing too. Oh, January release date. The studio does not have confidence in this movie.
The first like 10 seconds of this trailer with the insect, I don't know why that's in the trailer. It was just so random of seeing like the praying mantis grab onto the insect like that. But I will say, I think the saving grace for me is the director of The Invisible Man being on attached to this film. I did see something on Twitter. I don't know if they had an early premiere party or if they were promoting it, but I thought I saw somebody dressed up in like prosthetics of them like being a wolf man almost, and it looked terrible. Like
Really?
the costume design looked really terrible. So I don't know if that's meant to be like actually like direct from the film itself, like this is the design of what our Wolfman looks like, or if it's just like a random creature that they created like the middle of the transformation or something and not fully. Like I don't really know. Like the Invisible Man was clearly something that they like a unique I don't want to say a unique departure from the main concept of the Invisible Man, but it still worked in a modern take of it. I don't necessarily know if you got to really change up the premise of Wolfman so much. Just make a really compelling werewolf looking guy. But I will say from what I saw promotion wise, I didn't really care for it. But I also don't know if that's meant to be the final, like the final transition or like what he's finally going to look like. Because if that's the final piece of it, I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out to see if see how bad it looks. But yeah, no, from this teaser though, everything, I'm pretty optimistic about everything. I do like the idea of him having a daughter now, because now it's like he very much wants to be a dad that protects his kid. But the unfortunate tragic truth is sorry, I don't know why I keep having the hiccups today. But the sad, unfortunate truth is that the only probably smartest way he can actually protect his kid is to leave her alone and go away, because there is going to be that part of him that's always going to be there, the part that like during the full moon will always want to tear everything apart in front of him. So it's interesting. I am curious where they're going to go with that storyline. If you're going to introduce the daughter character to the Wolfman, please do something good with that, like make it emotional, make it like really really sad, tragic, that something along those lines. And yeah, you mentioned the director of The Invisible Man, and I'm not saying I want him to remake every Universal monster movie out there, but it makes sense because he did a good job with The Invisible Man. So it's like what worked the first time might work a second time. So yeah, I overall like positive vibes. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. Also just got word Beetlejuice officially made $110 million opening a weekend. So it's having a pretty good outing so far. But yeah, let us know if you guys have seen Beetlejuice. He also says, Sam says, I would like to see Battle of the Planets into live action and also a Guyver reboot film. I like the first film with Mark Hamill. I thought it was amazing. I think they are working on a Battle of the Planets into live action. If I'm not mistaken, though, I thought that was Russo's brothers' film. Battle of the Planets live action. I want to say it was in development, maybe early development. The Russo brothers, Anthony and Joe, announced plans to produce a live-action Battle of the Planets movie at the 2019 San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, wow.
Daniel Casey was hired to write the script in July of 2021. Joe Russo said in a July 2022 interview that the project was still in development. So as of right now, it still plans on being in development, but I would assume now with the Russos being attached to Marvel, I don't think we're expecting this film to like 2030 at this point. They got two big Avenger films to push out, but as of right now, last set of production notes was Battle of the Planets is in early production for a live action film from the Russo brothers. As far as a Guyver reboot film, I'm always down for anything Guyver related, so yeah, give it to me.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I thought the Mark Hamill one was, I say Mark Hamill one like he was the main character, he wasn't, but you know what I mean? Like, I thought that one was all right, but I loved the sequel, even though it didn't have like the budget of the first movie. I thought it like was a lot more fun, and I like that they were a lot more gory and graphic with it.
He also says, I will watch Kamen Rider Gav tomorrow for episode 1, and I hear it's a really good season. I think that's the newest Kamen Rider, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw a thumbnail on a YouTuber's page, and it basically was best Kamen Rider premiere. So
Nice.
I'm very curious if that's like over exaggeration for clickbait, or if that's actually serious.
Yeah, it says it's the 6th series to debut in the Reiwa era and the 39th overall. The series premiere on September 1st, so it premiered last week. Okay, cool. Thanks for the heads up on that one, Sam. Appreciate it, man. Doomsday, what are your thoughts on the newest Minecraft movie trailer? You said you saw the Minecraft, or you didn't, Stuart?
I did, yeah.
You did? I definitely missed that one. I'm going to have to check that out. But what did you think about it?
Meh.
Yeah, like
yeah,
that?
no, I didn't hate it, but I have zero interest in watching this movie.
I'll check it out after the show. Did you hear the original plans for Ninja Steel was going to have Calvin break up with Haley for Sarah?
Yeah.
Would you have liked to have seen that happen? That's a real thing?
Yeah. I'm glad they didn't. No, because like the actors themselves were like, this is stupid. So they ended up like taking that out of the script. Yeah, no, I think that was like, it wouldn't have made sense, I don't think. So I'm kind of glad it didn't happen personally. Like, I get it. It's a high school relationship. So, they come and go, but like, I don't know. It just, in a show like Ninja Steel, where everything is so episodic and everything, it rarely do the events of a previous episode playing a part for the next episode. It would be weird for that to be a thing that they would change in terms of an arc. It would be weird in a show with very little arcs that they decided an affair should be an arc that they could have in the show. I mean, maybe it technically wouldn't have been an affair, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Look, Power Rangers certainly aren't pure, to certainly say the least, but when you're dealing with like a kid show, especially, like, I don't necessarily know if I want that to be a storyline. You know what I mean? Like, I could understand maybe a breakup, but to break up and then date somebody on your team, that just feels messy. And I don't just necessarily know if
then leave her for someone else on your team too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't. Yeah, I don't know if that vibes well for me. Now, if we had a Power Rangers reboot and we're talking YA, then yeah, that would be pretty compelling drama, to certainly say the least. But so for a regular kids show, no, I'm glad they didn't go that route at all. Let's see here. You also say, what do you think should happen to Armor Wars and Blade? Yeah, I've been hearing some things that that those might be canceled eventually, Stuart, but I don't take any credence to those. Those are just rumors. Take it with extreme grains of salt. I think projects that we thought were once dead always tend to kind of come back. I mean, we've heard them mention Armor Wars wasn't going to be a series anymore. They were going to move it to a movie. I did see an article this week, though, that somebody had asked Don Cheadle about Armor Wars, and he was like, Armor Wars, what's that? So I don't know if he's just playing coy in the sense of like, why do you guys even ask me Marvel questions when I can't answer anything? Or if he knows something that we don't, in the sense of it being canceled. And heaven knows if we're ever going to get a Blade movie, man. At this point, I am one of those people that are just like, just cancel it at this point, man. Like, I don't think it's needed. Like, I just don't think it's needed right now. Yeah. But who knows? But what do you think? Do you think I still think Armor Wars is a thing, but I am kind of curious as to if you think we'll get any of these films.
I think for Blade, the smarter route may actually just to make it a TV show instead of a movie. As for Armor Wars, I don't know. Like, I was under the assumption that they had already started filming for it, but I guess I was wrong there. So I don't know what their plan is with Armor Wars, if they're still going through with it. Yeah. If I hear news that it got scrapped, I'm not going to be upset, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm not going to be upset either. Marcelina says, if not Blade or Armor Wars, at least give us a West Coast Avengers and Midnight Suns. Yeah, I wouldn't mind either of those. I've been really wanting a West Coast Avengers for a while, and Midnight Suns, I think a lot of people have been asking for, in the sense of like, I'll even take that as like a special presentation, or like you mentioned, the Blade series. I'll take it in that form also.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And last but not least, the most talented man in the world. Why Hancock deserves a sequel. Hancock, the 2008 is an underrated superhero film that explored complex themes and features a unique take on the traditional superhero genre. Will Smith's performance as the flawed and troubled John Hancock added depth to the story. The movie's exploration of Hancock's struggle with his public image, his desire for acceptance, and his complicated relationship with Ray and his family made for a compelling narrative. The film's destruction of the traditional superhero archetype and its commentary on the consequences of superhero actions were also noteworthy. While it received mixed reviews at the time of its release, Hancock had developed a cult following over the years and is now recognized as a refreshing and thought-provoking addition to the superhero genre. Charlize Theron's character, Mary, was a fantastic twist in the movie. Her connection to John Hancock's past and her true nature added a layer of complexity to the story. It was a brilliant move by the writers to make her more than just a damsel in distress or a love interest. The reveal that Mary was actually a fellow immortal and a complicated history with Hancock raises the stakes and added depth to the narrative. It also created an interesting dynamic as Hancock's past mistakes came back to haunt him. Charlize Theron brought so much depth and nuance to the character, making Mary a compelling and intriguing character. Her chemistry with Will Smith was undeniable, and her character's tumultuous relationship was captivating to watch. The twist also added a layer of tragedy to Hancock's story, highlighting the consequences of his actions and the loneliness that came with his immortality. It was a great narrative choice that elevated the movie beyond the typical superhero film. That's a pivotal aspect of the movie. Hancock's weakness, his vulnerability to Mary, is a unique twist on the traditional superhero story. Their connection, which was revealed to be centuries-old bond between immortals, created a fascinating dynamic. The fact that their proximity to each other caused them to slowly drain each other's life force added a layer of tragedy to the relationship. It was a clever subversion of the typical superhero romance where the hero's love interest was often a source of strength and inspiration. Instead, Hancock and Mary's love became a curse, forcing them to live apart to survive. This added a sense of melancholy to the story, highlighting the sacrifices that Hancock had to make to protect those he cared about. This weakness also humanized Hancock, making him more relatable and vulnerable. It was a clever move by the writers to create a superhero who was not only flawed, but also vulnerable in a way that wasn't typically seen in traditional superhero genre. I 100% agree with you. I feel like Hancock, for me, even though I don't watch it super regularly, when I have watched it again, I feel like I have come to appreciate it more and more each time, because I start to realize some of the story arcs and the things that you even point out in here. Like the relationship between Hancock and Mary, I thought was really compelling stuff. I did love that idea of them both being immortals and having sort of this long and troubled and complicated history as lovers between them two. I don't know. I do think that Hancock is one of those films that, especially in a time of superhero movies, was truly unique, and one where you kind of take that person that's supposed to be a superhero and you start off with them sort of being an asshole. Like, if there is any like perfect anti-hero sort of like a formula, I think Hancock is like the perfect sort of anti-hero. Somebody that you really hate and despise and is like super annoying and just destructive in his ways, to changing, turning the leaf and turning the page in his life and becoming somebody that he and others can kind of be proud of. I always thought that was a really unique sort of a play on the superhero genre. So yeah, I definitely feel like I have come to appreciate Hancock more after several different rewatches. But what about you, Stuart? How do you feel about Hancock and how he broke this down?
First of all, I just want to say, call him an asshole one more time. Man, everything you said, like most talented man in the world, I definitely agree with. I do think that Hitchcock was actually a really brilliant superhero film. In fact, I think like the only problem with Hancock was I think it came out just a couple years too early, because it came out right before the real spike in the superhero genre. So it was like, because of that, some of the things that it was commentating within the superhero genre just didn't feel as relevant as it would have if it came out just a little bit later. But yeah, no, him being vulnerable, him like, giving us like this idea of what we could expect from this character from the trailer compared to what we actually got in the movie itself, I thought was absolutely brilliant. And I love, everyone's so fast to turn on him, but then you have, the one guy that, sticks up for him and tries to, show him show the world how he can be a great guy, and show him how, the world can see him as this good guy if he, just makes a couple of changes to the way, he helps people rather than just being super reckless. And, in the case of when he even saved him, stopping the train right there rather than just, moving the car out of the way. I also love how, like, he wants to be better and, struggles at it in the beginning. Like, I think one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when you have the one woman cop who's like pinned down and it's like, permission to hold your body so I can carry you to safety, that kind of thing. I absolutely love it. The humor and the movie had humor and heart, which is the two things I look for in a comedy, and it did both of them extremely well. I fully agree with your whole statement about the movie. I loved it.
He said, do you think do you agree that this film deserves a long-awaited sequel? I would be open for a sequel. Yeah,
I think it could work. Whether we have him fighting another superpowered being, or whether or not it's just because I don't know. There's so much you could do, I think, in terms of commentary with that kind of a movie, especially if you're sticking within the realm of the superhero genre. Like, it would be kind of funny to see how they not necessarily poke fun of superhero movies nowadays, but just like, I feel like there's got to be some commentary on how common they are now.
Yeah, and if anything, I definitely agree with you too, in the sense that the movie was a little bit ahead of its time. Like, I would have been interested to see how it was received, like another 5 or 10 years later, sort of thing. Had it been released. Marcelino says, my problem with Hancock is that it had great themes, but I feel like they were missing some important character moments, and sometimes it felt like an action popcorn flick. So I'm mixed on it, and I think it's okay for those movies to just end up being good, likable action popcorn flicks. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. So, but I can understand you being mixed on it for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, that will do it for all of our live viewer questions today. So thank you guys so much for all your participation, and continuing to send us some great topics and questions on a week-to-week basis, guys. So we truly do appreciate that. Sam says, I think Blade will get a film for 2026. Hey, I'm glad you're optimistic, man. I've given up hope at this point, Sam. I truly have, man. A little bit of a bummer. It's been 5 going on 6 years now since they announced it. Yeah, man, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. But yeah, guys, that'll certainly do it for us here. Stuart, we got some television shows getting ready to come this week. We got Agatha All Along, I believe, makes its 2-episode debut. I don't know if it's this weekend or next weekend. It might be next weekend. Or maybe it's this week. I'll have to double check. Something tells me it's the 9th or the 10th, but maybe I'm wrong. And then we got The Penguin dropping this week.
Ooh.
Or not this week, I'm sorry, but later on this month. Maybe that's the 18th. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. So if anything, we'll do our best to try and have some reviews for you guys with some of these new shows. I definitely would like to have an Agatha review for the show, and at least The Penguin for the channel as well. So we'll kind of work around that and see what we can do. I also have a Rings of Power episode 4 review dropping for you guys tomorrow, so certainly look out for that. I have watched the episode, but I'm probably going to try and watch it just one more time and have something ready for you guys tomorrow. So the Rings of Power episode 4 review dropping tomorrow. I do plan on doing them either Friday or Saturday, like either live Friday evenings or dropping Rings of Power for you guys on Saturday. It's just that this week my mom came into town. She's visiting us from Georgia. And so I've been really busy just with family stuff. So I haven't been able to really sit down and record the way that I certainly want to. But hopefully next week I'll be able to get on an actual sort of schedule for the remainder couple of weeks. So we'll see, but keep if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification too, so anytime we drop brand new videos, you guys will certainly be notified. But yeah, we'll definitely have more content for you guys this week. If it's not trailer reviews, if it's not news updates, it might be a episode review on one of the shows that we're certainly talking about. And then of course we'll be back next Sunday for you guys for another live episode of A+ Hero Report. But Stuart, if people want to find you on social media, where can they find you at?
You guys can find me on Instagram at TurboStew01.
And if you want to follow us on social media, as you can see everywhere down below at A Plus Opinions, very active over on our Facebook page, especially. That's where we drop all the news, posters, trailers to keep you up to date all throughout the week. That's one of our main pages outside of our YouTube channel. And then we take 6 topics from the Facebook page to certainly discuss with you guys at the end of the week. We're also on TikTok at Hero Report. And if you like your forum community sort of layout, we do have a Discord in the description box below. Feel free to go ahead and join us over on our Discord page. But other than that, guys, that's going to do it for us here today. We appreciate it as always, but we certainly will be back next week and later on throughout the week. So in the meantime, do us a big favor. As always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.